Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 59. I am your host. With me, as always, my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
And student.
Welcome to our super mega ultra long weekend that I really am looking forward to, right?
Yeah, my feet have been like really sore every day after school.
Because Jack's back to school and
I earned it.
Got the layout we have, or the timetable we have, he has 2.5 hour classes, which is double the normal length when it's non-COVID. So his phys ed class, it's a lot of pounding on his feet, but for whatever reason, I'm not even sure why, we don't go back to school until Thursday of next week. So we're recording this on Saturday, obviously. We got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Don't know why, not going to question it, just going to enjoy it. We actually have some fun plans tonight. The neighbors that we hang out with down the street are hosting a lobster and brisket sort of outdoor pool party. So that should be a lot of fun to go to. I'm really looking forward to that. So
and speaking of school, it sucks. My gym teacher kind of sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
In case you're not getting the joke, it's me. He's in my class.
Yeah.
I've hidden my profession for this long on this podcast. I am a high school teacher, and my grade 9 son is in my class. So good times. And it's a course that he doesn't really like. So, but anyways, we'll get through it, buddy. It's going to be fine. We'll look back on it fondly, I'm sure.
But and the way it works is, so next week I won't have gym because
that's right.
It's weird. It's
so
all
you
weird.
have half your classes for double time every other week is basically how our schedule is working in this pandemic.
That's probably the easiest way to put it.
Just in the sort of, if numbers go up again and they have to modify things, I guess this timetable makes it easier for them to modify it later. I don't fully understand, but I'm just working in the system that I am placed in. So if you're a regular listener, welcome back. If you're new and just checking us out for the first time, welcome. If you would like to contact us and give us any feedback or your thoughts on anything we're reviewing, it is fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or you can just leave a comment in YouTube and I'll get back to you. Most of the comments I get seem to be coming through Podbean, which is where I think when I see the breakdown, most of our downloads and listens come from Podbean. But so that's appreciated. You can always leave comments through there. I do reply to every comment that we receive so far, because it's not very many.
If you want to talk to me, which I find is highly unlikely, you can comment on the Instagram or message me. I'm kind of bored usually.
So yeah, feel free to, if you have any suggestions or just even your thoughts on shows that we talked about, we'd love to hear other people's opinions as well. So that is definitely possible.
Yeah.
So in the last couple days, you've seen a couple movies without going into great details about them because you can't spoil things for people because they're brand new.
If anyone hasn't seen Free Guy yet, it came out in like July. So.
Yeah, but still, just in case. So just your overall thoughts.
So I saw Marvel Shang-Chi, the latest Marvel thing. That was good. I actually kind of saw that early because I don't know how my friend got it, but he did. So
yeah, you got a day early. That's cool.
Yeah, well, like 5 so it was like pretty late, but we saw that was good. The villain's pretty well written, I thought.
Yep. And then last night you went back.
Morris, who's like a faceless, weird, hairy thing with wings, and he's I like him more than Baby Yoda. Screw Baby Yoda. Morris is the man now. Wow. And then I saw Free Guy, which was, if you haven't seen that, go see it.
He highly he was very. I went and picked him up after him and his friend, and they really were excited about it.
And if you like Ryan Reynolds, he's like the main guy in that, and it was super good. Good.
I'm glad you liked it. I'll check it out at some point. I'm not quite ready to go into theaters yet, but I'm not going to stop you from going.
It's socially distanced.
It was, so that's totally fine for you, and you
are
safe.
I'll probably see one of those twice or both of them twice.
Nice. Totally. I'll check out Free Guy for sure. I can't really get into Marvel stuff too much. I've tried. It just doesn't work for me too well. But if the Free Guy's as good as you say it is, I will probably check it out at some point.
Yeah, there's even Marvel and Star Wars reference.
So you've had a pretty productive week, pretty fun week, and hopefully a good weekend as well. So hopefully you guys, you're getting a long weekend. I know in Canada and the States, I think we share this long weekend. We have some differing ones, but I think we share this one. So I hope you have a great long weekend if you have access to one where you live. I don't know. Do you want to start talking about some wrestling, I guess?
We'll probably put out a All Out thingy.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably review All Out coming up, so you can keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Ready to talk some wrestling?
Yeah.
All right. So our first segment, as always, will be us talking about some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. And ratings-wise, let's see what we've got. Tuesday's taped edition of WWE NXT drew 717,000 viewers on USA Network, which is up 4.67%, earned a .17 in the key 18 to 49 demographic, also up 6.25%. And this was the second best audience since May 4th episode, and this is a good number for NXT. Remember, in my mind, I sort of have that 700,000 threshold. I think that they're probably happy if they're above that. So those are good numbers for them, which is good, because that was after TakeOver, right? So I guess that's the hope, is that after a major pay-per-view, you maybe pick up some viewership if they liked what they saw. So to compare, Wednesday's live all-out go-home episode of Dynamite drew 1.047 million viewers on TNT, down 10.66%, earned a .37 in the key demographic, which is down a pretty large 22.91. But gee, I wonder what the big difference is. Clearly, CM Punk's Dynamite debut was a draw, right? Especially in that demographic, because that's the main difference, I think, from last week to this week. But there's still over 1 million viewers, so it looks like Punk moves the needle in that key demographic, but they're holding over 1 million viewers, which I would imagine they have to be happy about, right? That's a solid number. Anything you've got?
So we got something quite interesting on SmackDown, I thought.
That sounds oxymoronical to me. Interesting on SmackDown? Interesting.
Well, SmackDown's not as bad.
Okay, fair enough.
Raw.
Fair enough.
Cause Roman Reigns, right? And so yeah, speaking of Roman Reigns, he was in action in the main event, defending the Universal title against the first ever Universal Champ. They love to tout that, because that's probably the only thing he's ever done that they care about. Finn Balor. And after that, Roman's kind of walking up the ramp, just like Heyman's holding up the title, and Balor's laying in the ring. The lights go red for a second, you hear like a boom, boom. What does that mean? I think they just teased the return of Demon Balor, baby.
Yeah, so you're excited until he has to get crushed by Roman Reigns.
Yeah, no, but they could make him look good against Demon.
Oh, of course they could.
Reigns.
They could.
Yeah, but I would love it. He gets cool action figures out of that, and I'm a sucker for good paint.
See, I prefer his like heel Balor from NXT as my favorite Balor.
No, but he could still do that. Like, I guess. But then he can whip out the Demon Balor when he needs to. I mean, and if he feels the need to whip out Demon Balor against Baron Corbin, I think he should probably bring it out for Roman Reigns.
I used to love Demon Balor so much. I think I made you and your mother, who couldn't care less about wrestling, watch a Demon Balor entrance when he was still in New Japan. I think it was, because it was just the coolest thing.
Oh, Devitt.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
well, yeah, but like he still did the paint.
The demon, sorry. Yep.
He just didn't it wasn't like a separate thing.
Because it was like amazing. And then I guess I've just
Didn't you do like a coffin thing once, I think?
I don't know. I guess I've just sort of, it's lost its luster for me, or the novelty's worn off, I guess.
Yeah,
but anyways,
I don't know. Some people were thinking the Red Lights were the Fiend, but one, he's released. Two,
maybe it's all a work, brother.
Right, but the heartbeat is the demons, the Valor.
You're right, it is.
Like, if it was just the Red Lights, sure, either one would work. But since you had like the boom boom, that's Balor.
It is.
Right? Like,
yep.
Has to be Balor.
So what do I have here? AEW President and General Manager Tony Khan announced earlier this week that, unfortunately for me, the Pac versus Andrade El Idolo match has been pulled from Sunday's All Out pay-per-view due to a travel issue with one of the competitors.
I guarantee it's Pac, because that's happened before.
Later confirmed to be Pac. Yes, it was.
I knew it. And to piggyback off of that, it has been put on next week's episode of Rampage.
So we'll have to check that out.
I guess we got to watch it.
I am disappointed. This is one of the matches that was I was really looking forward to, because these are two of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Kind of a dream match for me. But I guess I'll get it on free TV, which is we'll have to make a point to check out that match on Rampage for sure. Yep.
Next we have the Bianca Belair Becky Lynch match is officially set for Extreme Rules. I don't know when that's happening. Probably sometime this month, because they have yet to do this month's pay-per-view, and they feel the need to do at least one every month.
Seems that way, yeah.
And Becky Lynch is heel, because I saw a thing like, she turned down the challenge from Bianca.
And I was telling you, I find that, I mean, it's Becky Lynch apparently wants to be heel, but I find that strange.
I know why you're saying it's strange, but like from a what do you want to do point of view, that makes sense.
And it's just, it's basically that my thoughts were, you're coming back from a major injury, which usually baby faces you, plus you're a new mom, which is also like extra baby face power at this point. So It seems like
right,
they're kind of...
Remember Miz as a father, and then, like, he was, like, face against Bray Wyatt or whatever?
It seems like they're kind of swimming upstream with this one, and from what I've been hearing of people reviewing it and talking about it, it's like they can't tell the difference between heel the man and face the man, Becky Lynch, anyways. It's basically... Because she was kind of almost...
she's an anti-hero.
Like, yeah, like just Austin. Sort of an Austin idea, so it's hard to tell the difference anyways.
Literally her heel turn resulted in her getting more popular, right? Like,
yeah. She
turned face because people loved the heel shtick so much. So I'm not sure how long it'll remain actually heel.
Right. And I think it's just like it's basically the only difference is kind of, is she facing baby faces or heels, right? That seems to be the key difference in her character, is now you're fighting baby faces. So you're by default the heel sort of thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, in an update, the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that multiple AEW sources have said that Daniel Bryan's debut is in fact scheduled for All Out. So I thought that was a bit interesting, considering it's like hot on the heels of a major debut with CM Punk, right? But again,
and I think Punk was saying he would want to team with Bryan against the Bucks,
right?
Of course, I would be down for that.
And how do you think they'll like? They can't. He has to be a babyface, obviously. So how do you think they'll bring him in? Is he just gonna run in? Is there gonna be
a
segment like Punk where he comes in and talks? You think he'll come in after the main event, maybe?
I think he's so big. I think that's what they'll do. But
or start the show like they sort of did that with Punk, right? Like, I think that was a brilliant choice, because if they had saved CM Punk to the end, all of the performers on that show are battling CM Punk chants all night. So my fear is, like, is it a distraction and the chants are all night?
Maybe because my thing with him coming out after Omega is that, how do you book him to lose against Omega, right?
Right.
But then also I'm saying Hangman has to beat Omega. It can't not be Hangman.
Or maybe he comes and joins Punk. They come together and they're a tag team for a bit. I don't know.
And they face the Bucks.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I think he should actually... it'd be cool if he came in after Miro. Goes after Miro.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be a great match, right? He can be the underdog, undersized, plays that role.
And I feel like he would be willing to put over Miro. And he probably put over Omega too. But
so we'll see.
I'm just thinking, I would rather him, as much as Miro's good, I'd rather him be Miro than Omega now.
And I am the guy that's like, I don't want AEW signing everybody that's sort of off from a cast off.
That Tony Khan doesn't think the roster's too full.
This is one of those exceptions, right? Bryan is still at the tail end of his prime, or maybe just barely post-prime.
He's one of the guys willing to put people over, right? Like, actually willing to put people over.
Well, he'll just have some amazing matches I still want to see, with a bunch of fresh matchups, right? With guys that should be fantastic. So many.
Lucha Bros.
Yes.
Hangman. Omega.
Yes, tons.
The Bucks.
We don't need to go through the roster. There's
Darby
tons.
Allin.
Any other news?
Jungle Boy.
Yes, all of those.
WrestleMania 38 is being discussed to follow the two-night format.
I've heard it will be.
That we've seen put into use the past 2 years. Instead of the planned revert back to the one-night event. It's neither has been confirmed so far. As it stands, I think it'll still be, because they have advertised it as a one-night thing.
Right.
And
I'm okay with it.
But they are discussing it with 2 nights, which I'm okay with either, really.
I'm okay with it as long as the 2 nights are like under 3 hours each. That's okay. But if you're going to still go like 4.5 hours each night, and you're putting out like 8-9 hours total, I'm going to be annoyed. But because sometimes the one nights, right, are 6-7 hours of a show. So I can't do that, but I could do a couple nights of 2.5 hours, 3 hours tops if it's really good. So I'm okay with the 2 nights. And I think they've just found that it works and fans like it, so they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Big news. AC Romero has reportedly requested his release from Impact Wrestling. I was sort of being sarcastic with the big news. Other than
he is big.
He is literally very, very big.
So it's literally big.
So lately he had been teaming up with Larry D as Triple XL, and is still under contract as of last month, apparently, but just on like a paid per appearance deal. So not like a contract, but like every time he appears on TV or on a show, he gets paid. So I say grant him his wish. If he wants to go, that's fine. They really don't have any use for him right now. He hasn't been on TV in weeks and weeks. And I honestly, not to be rude, I don't think anybody's going to miss him, right? Like, he's not a draw. They can save some money that they can spend somewhere else. So I say let him go, and hopefully he catches on somewhere or whatever he wants to do.
Mm-hmm. And kind of related to the WrestleMania thing, a similar kind of thing, is apparently New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 16, which will be, I think, next January.
Right.
It'll be a 3-night event.
My goodness.
Which is that's kind of interesting because I think they've usually been a 2-night event, right?
I'm wondering if
even pre-pandemic.
Because their pandemic issues, I think, remain. I wonder if that's an attempt because you can't probably fill the stadium. You know what I mean? So you want to sell the same number of tickets, but you can't pack them all in at once.
Right. Or maybe
because my brain automatically goes, this is all a money.
Long.
It's all a money issue.
Right.
So they're trying to squeeze some more money out somewhere, probably.
That's
so
fair.
I wonder if that's what it is.
That's okay. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is it. I haven't heard of a 3-nighter before, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's new.
My last nugget of news here is that Ring of Honor has announced that Rush will be out of action for the rest of 2021 after undergoing knee surgery. And just in addition to that, his current ROH contract is set to expire at the end of this year. No word yet on whether he plans to re-sign or if he's looking to sign somewhere else or sort of shop himself around, as I would think most people would do in this current wrestling environment. Like, you'd kind of be silly not to see what the offers are. So I imagine there'll be several promotions interested in Rush because he is really good and he's a fantastic heel. Mm-hmm. So if he decides to leave ROH, I'm sure he'll have options. So I guess we'll see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for you?
Nope.
That's going to finish up our news and rumors. And we will head right into talking about some wrestling in depth and taking a look at this week's version of NXT. So we get no recaps or anything this week, just straight into Mandy Rose's theme, which I know thrilled you, right?
Yeah.
You would rather a recap of anything ever than that, probably.
Yeah, pretty much, except for a Karrion Kross promo.
And we do, oh my goodness, I just saw images of him, or not images, a little clip of him in his full gear on, is it Raw he's on?
Showed you?
Yeah, but this was actually like seeing him in video form walking around in it. It's really, really bad. It's really bad. But anyways.
He looks like a rip-off Demolition member.
It's really bad, honestly. It's worse seeing it somehow live and in action moving around. It was brutal. But anyways, this starts out with Mandy Rose. She's got Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. No name for that faction so far, right?
I noted that because you said last time that Jane looked out of place with Dolan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now I think Dolan looks out of place compared to Mandy and Jane.
It definitely looks like they toned down their look from last week a little bit, right?
Well, and just, I don't know, Dolan's like, she's pale. She's like kind of like a punk look, almost like a Darby Allin or something. And then JC Jane, just her base look, she's very similar to Mandy Rose, I think, right? So I think just even besides what they're wearing, I think just Jane looks more like a Mandy Rose kind of person.
Yeah.
Just on the surface. So I think now Dolan kind of feels out of place.
It's an interesting combination for sure. We'll see where it goes. But Mandy Rose has them for support as she takes on Saray today.
Yeah, and they kept saying things about like Mandy, like she'll help Dolan Jane because she's experienced and she's physical perfection stuff, or about how she's like good or whatever. And this is proof that commentary is paid to lie.
Yeah, I think so.
And just because someone has experience doesn't mean they're helpful. Like Mandy Rose having experience is very different from like Sasha Banks having experience.
Yep.
You know, it's like
they are at a different level for sure. So Mandy starts out in control and she's taunting Saray. Saray finally hits a forearm and a basement dropkick. Saray then kind of has a bit of an awkward fisherman suplex and a roundhouse kick for a 2 count.
I must have missed that, or I don't remember.
Top rope crossbody missed by Saray, and Mandy takes control finally. And we get dueling chants from the crowd here, which is interesting. So half of them are sort of supporting Mandy Rose. I was a little bit surprised.
I'm insulted that's even happening.
We get a suplex by Rose and a lengthy neck vice here. A fall-away slam by Rose. More neck work that wasn't very convincing was in my notes. It's just kind of her sort of twisting the neck, taking a little bit of time, it seemed. Didn't look great. We then get a chancery with the legs locked as well by Saray.
Yeah, it's like the legs are crossed and it's like
it's cool.
They cross the legs and then put their leg in front of it. It's interesting. It works, I think.
Yep. Flurry of forearms by Saray. She hits her like follow in drop kick into the ropes, and then the signature one to Mandy Rose, who's leaning against the ropes. It looked awesome. It looks like it pretty much killed her. It does send Mandy out to the floor, and her minions sort of come over to cover her face and lead her away. And Saray is going to win this match by countout. So
which is lame.
It's kind of cool because that dropkick does look pretty devastating.
I know, it in theory it looks good, but it just looks like she's kind of dropping them and then they're just leaning back really far.
This one looked good and she fell right out. But anyway, she just walks away, loses by countout. What did you think of this match? Question mark? Whatever. I guess
the
it
match
was.
was whatever. It was kind of as I expected because Mandy Rose has the wrestling capabilities of a wrestling dummy.
Wow.
The finish was lame as it doesn't make a ton of sense because no one else who has taken Saray's dropkick has done this. Like, it's literally just
true.
Mandy Rose. Like,
yep.
What? She's beautiful. So what? Like, I don't care.
What,
no one cares.
What did I say to you to get ready for what?
Oh yeah. Because like it looks good, so it's like is
her
I
beautiful,
really hope,
perfect face is now disfigured by this.
I
drop
know
kick.
I would like that. I hope they do undashing Mandy Rose.
Yeah, it might be funny. I don't know. Who knows?
It might be for like gimmick purposes because Mandy Rose is like a diva era wrestler.
Kind of.
But regardless, it was stupid. And like last week, I think Dolan looks out of place compared to Jane Mandy. Like I was saying, not at all a great opener. Mandy needs to go away.
Wow.
Like, no.
I thought it was no better than a squash match, basically, than the ones that Saray's kind of been having already. So Mandy hit a fall-away slam and a suplex, and other than that, it was really boring, basic stuff, I thought. For me, this is a disappointing opener, and I fear this whole Mandy Rose's beautiful face has been damaged might be a thing going forward, and it doesn't sound super interesting, but you never know.
Who actually cares?
They could pull it off. We'll see. And I'm not trying to be mean, but Mandy Rose doesn't look better than the last time I saw her, and I haven't seen her in quite a while, so I would hope that she would have improved. Like, I thought she had an okay match with,
DeVille.
I want to say Daria Baronato, which was her name back. I don't know why that sticks in my head, because that's what she was before she became Sonya Deville.
But DeVille's good, so...
But I don't think she's good enough to carry Mandy Rose, so I don't know. Anyway, she doesn't seem like she's gotten a lot better, and I guess the bottom line is Saray gets another win, which is good. But I kind of thought this was a waste of time.
But is this really even a good win for her? Like,
I mean, it's a win, and it's not against a jobber, so it's something. But, I mean, maybe...
It's pretty close to a jobber.
They might follow it up with something cool, I guess, but I felt like a bit of my time had been wasted with this opener.
I should start a petition for, no, never mind. Because they don't listen to the fans. But they should definitely do undashing Mandy Rose.
Yeah, that might be fun. Tommaso Ciampa spoke earlier today while sitting backstage. He has an issue, he has an issue with what happened after Thatcher's match against Ridge Holland last week. Ciampa says he is NXT and he will fight for his home and his family. And even good old toothless Timmy, he says a motivated Ciampa is a scary Ciampa. He then does that thing where he stands up super quickly and sort of kicks the chair out of the way before stomping off. I don't know, just kind of his usual thing. What'd you think?
Solid promo from Ciampa. It wasn't anything super out of the ordinary. I'm really not looking forward to the match, though, because Ridge Holland.
I mean, you are very negative so far today.
He's just garbage.
Yeah, this was his usual promo that he's been doing lately. I have nothing wrong with it. I kind of miss Thatcher being with him because I like the chemistry between the two. But this was fine. You know, this is what you get from Ciampa. Right. Then we get Kyle O'Reilly facing Duke Hudson. How did this happen? They got into a little bit of a brawl or a scrap last week, right? As they were crossing paths in the hallway, I think it was, if I remember correctly. So I thought this started out, O'Reilly removes his hoodie, right? And reveals that he has a whole bunch of tape on his ribs.
It's really interesting.
And I don't know if you noticed, but I thought it was a nice touch by Hudson because as soon as he sees that the ribs are taped, you can see him smiling, right? Like now he's got a game plan. I thought that was a cool little touch there.
Yeah, so I didn't pick up on that.
O'Reilly applies a sleeper, but Hudson sort of just flips him to the mat because he is the bigger, stronger guy in this match. We get a big punch to Kyle O'Reilly's ribs, followed by knees to the same area. Abdominal stretch by O'Reilly, but Hudson powers out with an arm drag before a hard Irish whip into the corner. I think he sent him chest first into it as well. Hudson then stomps on O'Reilly's midsection. Brief flurry by O'Reilly, but a fireman's carry gutbuster, I called it, by Hudson. I thought it looked pretty nice. And then we come back from a commercial, and the tape that's on Kyle O'Reilly is just gone. He flips out of a suplex and kicks Hudson's legs. We get knees and a leg sweep, followed by a running forearm from O'Reilly. Dragon leg screw by O'Reilly, and some more kicks to the leg. So now he seems to be focusing on the leg, while Hudson's focusing on his midsection. We get a double sledge to O'Reilly's chest on the run. And then Kyle counters a move into a guillotine, but Hudson powers out of the guillotine, runs O'Reilly into the turnbuckle again. We get an overhead belly-to-belly by Hudson for 2 that looked pretty good. 2 more dragon screws from O'Reilly. This time Hudson's in the ropes as it's happening, and then O'Reilly goes up top, hits his top rope knee drop to the leg, which I think is a cool touch, right? Whatever he's been targeting is what he's going to knee drop, I think. So he hits it to the leg, immediately applies a heel hook, and Hudson fairly quickly taps out. What'd you think of this match?
I wonder if you could get away with a knee drop to the balls.
Maybe, if that's what you're targeting, but you can't target that.
I guess. Well, you could
legally.
You could hit a million atomic drops.
I guess.
Inverted atomic drops. I thought it was actually a fine TV match. It wasn't great, but not bad either. I think by far Hudson's best effort.
Mm-hmm.
He got in a couple of nice moves. I mean, that's not high bar because Breakout Tournament sucked, but it was still his best. This is obviously a match to put over Riley, who I thought looked pretty good. I think he did a pretty good job of selling his kayfabe injury. Like,
yeah,
I think
I did too.
Become a pretty good seller.
Yep.
And I liked how he went heavy on the leg turning towards the end. That's a realistic end. He hit like a bunch of leg moves. He even used he adapted his finisher to the leg and then
I like that too.
Submission. So I like you could really see him focus in on the
psychology, as they say.
Yeah, you could really see him focus in on that limb at the end.
Yep. I thought this match got a fair amount of time, right? I thought it was better than anything Hudson did in the Breakout Tournament by quite a bit, like you're saying. And I really liked the simple story of this, right? Like, if the guy's not an experienced wrestler, give him a simple story to tell, and that's target the guy's midsection, right? So O'Reilly's hurt, Hudson's a heel. He targets it basically the entire match, and that just made sense to me, so I kind of liked it. He also mixed, like, basic offense, just punches and things to that midsection, and then a few cool things like the gutbuster out of the fireman's carry and stuff like that, all the time targeting Kyle's ribs. It worked for me, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad O'Reilly got the win. But I thought this was a pretty good match, and Hudson, I think, makes a pretty good heel. So it might just be, right, that he was working with inexperienced talent throughout the whole tournament, and that's part of the problem, is that when you put him in the ring with an experienced veteran who can really make him look good, he does. So hopefully that's the case.
I think that's probably also, like, Hudson look good, but I think that's also a testament to O'Reilly's
Oh, for sure. He helps, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence that this guy looks his best when he's working with O'Reilly.
Right, like I was saying, like, Kushida's first match that I liked was Gargano. Like, that's no coincidence.
I'm pretty sure I could have a good match with Gargano, and I've never wrestled in my life. He'd just make me look good, right?
Yeah, Gargano's the best.
Not saying I have any ability. I'm saying he'd make me look good.
He has too much ability.
Right. Vic Joseph then hypes the Indy Hartwell Dexter Loomis wedding that's coming up as we get a recap of the proposal before Beth excitedly sort of tries to sell us some Index t-shirts, right, from the announce table, which I, of course, appreciated.
Gross.
So it's funny, the September 14th, when this wedding happens, is the first show with the new regime in place, right? The new logo, the new, apparently, Vince and what's-his-face, Brother Love running the show now. So I am interested in that episode, but maybe not for the right reasons, you know what I mean? Possibly. So Vic Joseph then, we're down to Ilya Dragunov. He comes down to the ring to speak to us. He's limping. He's got still the sign of the stitches on his head, obviously. And he sort of takes a moment to soak in the cheers from the crowd, which I liked. What I don't love about Dragunov, and I do like him quite a bit, is, he acts like he's a conductor. I don't really love that during his theme. But anyways,
I don't understand it, but I guess you gotta have a
It's because it's that kind of music, so he's acting like he's directing the orchestra that would play his song.
But then I guess the fans also do it, so it's like...
I think that's the thing, is if they start doing it, it's going to be something useful.
But that's not how a director choir
No, but
works.
if you can come up with some sort of hand gesture, right, that the crowd can do, it's better for you. So he says that before he goes back home, he wants everyone to see that he's still alive, because that brutal match, obviously. The crowd then breaks into some "Please Don't Go" chants, which I thought was kind of nice. He says he feels more alive than ever. He feels like a man who survived the biggest and most intense battle of his life. He likes it here. He really does. And the crowd will see him soon again. He showed everyone the will, the passion, the soul, and the struggle it takes to be NXT UK champion. The ring general has fallen. Long live the Tsar. What'd you think?
I thought it was a good but generic promo from Dragunov. I think the crowd does seem to really like him, though. They're also like, "Please don't go" chants. He obviously has to go back to the UK. I also hope he returns soon, though, because he is good. I do actually like him now. I would like to see more of him. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it's just kind of
I'm glad to hear he's coming back, right? At least he's saying I'll be back at some point. It might just be takeovers and things. I'd be fine if they just
that's even better, just because you can have better matches on TakeOver, right?
And that'd be fine if they just start defending that belt on some North American takeovers sometimes. I'm okay with that. So yeah, it was a pretty brief segment, but I liked it. He got a good reaction from the crowd, and that's nice to see. His promo was good enough. I don't think it's his strength necessarily. His in-ring is obviously a lot better, I would say. But I had no issue with this as like a baby face coming out and not really bragging about the win so much, right? But just kind of talking about it. And I hope he does come back. I'm glad he got to showcase himself in North America for a little bit, because I'm sure some people weren't very familiar with him, and he had one heck of a match, so I'm sure people will be excited for him to come back. We then get Arash Markazi. He has a sit-down interview with Kaylee Ray. He asks what gave Ray the right to walk in at such a big time for Raquel Gonzalez. She says that she took the biggest moment available and that the division needed a boost, and that's why she's here. Markazi lists several of the women in the division, and Ray tires of this list quickly and interrupts him to sort of run each one of those women down. She says she is capable of anything she wants, and her reign was the longest in the UK in several decades, and now she's going to dominate the USA. Thoughts? All with her fantastic accent that I think adds to it.
Yeah, good promo from her. It helps that she's got kind of a cool accent that I don't think anyone else has.
Right.
McIntyre has it, but he's not on the roster, is what I mean. I'm excited to see what her first feud would be. I would like Ember Moon as a solid first feud, because Ember Moon's pretty good in the ring. Her promos aren't the best, but that's forgivable. And then I think they would have a good match, and she's a babyface, so that's the main requirement.
Yep. I like this a lot, and I mean, I'm a little biased. I think Kaylee Ray's fantastic, but I thought she sounded really confident here, and her in a heel role I think is really good. She's capable of doing either, but she probably excels as a heel.
Has she even been face?
I've seen her sort of do, I don't know if it's tweener or face, but yeah, I've seen it. She's amazing in the ring. Trust me, if you guys haven't seen her, when you do see her, she is impressive. I thought she did a really good job here. I'm really happy to see her every week in NXT now. I do watch NXT UK, but not quite as closely as I watch this, obviously. I actually like Arash in this role of the sit-down interview guy that kind of plays it straight, like it's a legit sportscaster doing an interview, right?
I like Wade Barrett better.
This is the role that I want JR to do on Dynamite. I want him to stop doing play-by-play, and I think that might happen. Actually, we'll talk about it when we review Dynamite. But I think he needs to move into the role where he does sit-down interviews with people, and that's about it, would be my preference.
Yeah, because they do need that person, right? They kind of just do it with
And I don't think they need him in the booth as much. I just want Excalibur and Shivani would be my ideal tandem.
Or they need... No. Screw Shivani. They need to hire Ronaldo.
I mean, I like Ronaldo for pay-per-views maybe, but I don't...
No. The Dynamite has an insane crowd, so they need an insanely good commentator.
Maybe.
Who's that?
People tire of
Ronaldo
sometimes,
I don't
though.
care. I love Mauro Ronaldo.
I know you do.
Mauro Ronaldo is the best.
Mackenzie then talks to Carmelo Hayes backstage, and she asks if the win of the tournament has set in yet. He says that everyone expects him to take another shot at Kushida and the Cruiserweight title, and he might, but he can go after any title he wants. He's then interrupted by Elektra Lopez. She says that Swerve's title is for Escobar, sort of saying, like, don't go after that one because Escobar sort of claimed he's got dibs, I guess, if you will.
She has no right to talk to him like that. She's a jobber.
And the rest of Legado show up shortly thereafter. Escobar sort of makes some thinly veiled threats toward Hayes before just walking away. What'd you think?
I thought Hayes spoke fine, so did who I will now acknowledge as Jobber Del Fantasma. I'm very happy about the prospects of the North American division right now. I would love Escobar versus Hayes, Hayes versus Swerve, or Swerve versus Escobar, or a three-way. Like, any combination of these three dudes would be very nice for me. That's just good. And I don't know, I'm not sure how I really feel about her and Legado. I
like it.
Like them as a three-person faction. And also, she's a jobber.
Everyone starts out as a jobber, man. I don't know how you can be so critical. Like, what's she gonna do? Start out as the champion? Like, no.
No, but she could have been built up. But
I guess I kind of like her. I thought she did a good job. I liked all of the heel work here. A little bit of Hayes' response I didn't love, because he just basically at the end, right, is like, did he threaten me? It just doesn't seem that consistent with the really confident, never back down sort of character he's been presented as so far. So a little bit of a disconnect, but other than that, I thought it was fine way to introduce a story between these two, if that's where this is going. And Hayes, I think, in the North American title mix seems like a good fit to me, right? And you're right, that would put a nice little group of guys around there.
I can see him in the Cruiserweight or this, but I think he deserves to be in here if that's where they want to put him.
And I think that would help with a clear-cut babyface in the mix, right? Is what we kind of need right now. So I'd be happy with that for sure. We then get a tag team match where Grayson Waller, who I find quite interesting, and I can't even really tell you why.
He seems cool, but I don't know, he doesn't seem that unique.
No, I mean, he's different. I find, he didn't get to do much here. The match where I saw him with Leon Ruff, I really, really liked. And I think he just has sort of some kind of interesting charisma. He seems a bit different to me. I find him interesting so far. So he's teamed up with Drake Maverick to take on Imperium. So we get a brief promo from earlier with Maverick and Waller. Waller is hyped to make his debut, and Drake is sort of trying to convince him how serious this is because Drake has faced Imperium before. He knows they're legit, right? So it's Waller's just kind of like, just happy to be here and get into a match, and Drake's kind of like, man, these guys are serious. You need to sort of take this seriously. And what did you think?
Are we going to talk about the match?
Oh, I'll get into the match. Yeah, I guess we could do that, right? Other than the promo, we can talk about both at the end.
Oh, right. Oh, the promo. I thought you were talking about the match.
No, just a little brief promo. It was fine, right? I don't know.
Like nothing.
So the match starts. Eichner dominates Waller early, and Bartel tags in, hits a double underhook suplex, penalty kick by Bartel, and then another jawbreaker by Waller, and then he tags out. Eichner tags in Eichner tags in, and Maverick dominates both guys with quick offense. Blockbuster by Maverick, but Waller tags himself in, and Imperium put Maverick. They run him into that, I don't know what to call it, the scaffold tower thing that's always around ringside. So they take him out,
light tower.
And they go back.
Scaffolding, yes.
They go back in and hit the Imperium bomb on Waller to get the win. So I think the idea was that Waller was a little anxious to get in the ring and tagged himself in when maybe that wasn't the best decision, and he ended up taking the finisher and the pinfall. Feels like where they're going. What did you think?
Nothing more than a short enhancement match, and if it's not furthering Waller Maverick, this will have been completely pointless and kind of lame.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't really care about that because it's just another odd couple tag team.
It is.
2, Maverick was literally just in one with Killian Dane, like pretty recently.
And it's funny because now he's playing the role of the one who's like, hey, take this serious, right? Which he wasn't so much with Dane.
Now that you mentioned, that doesn't exactly make sense.
Yeah, it's sort of like, hey, this is the main roster treatment. They assume we don't remember anything, right? And they don't worry about continuity. They just go, we'll just switch it on the fly. No problem. I thought this was a fine, almost a squash match. Maverick got in one flurry that I thought looked really good, actually. And I really like Imperium's finisher. I think it looks cool. It wasn't.
Me too. It's a nice variation of whatever.
Yeah, I like it. It wasn't a strong debut for Waller, but he played his limited role, right, as like the naive, over-enthusiastic rookie who doesn't know what he's getting into. I thought he did a decent job of that, and it kind of ended up costing them the match. So it kind of makes sense from the story that way, and we'll see where it goes in the future if Maverick and Waller are actually a tag team or if they were just randomly thrown together or whatever. Johnny Gargano and Indy Hartwell are then shown backstage. Indy's trying to convince Johnny Gargano to give Dexter Lumis a chance. How original, like we haven't done this before, right? Gargano says he'll think about it, then turns the other direction, runs right into Lumis, who's sort of sidled up behind him. Gargano storms off ahead of his upcoming match, telling Lumis to stop doing that and just be normal. Yeah, there's our way segment. What'd you think?
It was lame. Every time it's just Indy, give him a chance. And then they're like, no.
Right.
Like, ugh.
Yep. Really short, which is the best thing I can say about these segments. I'm done with this story, but you guys that listen to the show already know that. It's been going on forever. It's multiple segments a week generally. And I don't know. I'm not, it doesn't interest me. It's not for me is what I like to say, right? It's for somebody else, not me.
No, I'm pretty sure I can just say it sucked.
So Pete Dunne's group then get a chance to cut a promo. I don't know what to call the group. I don't think they have an official name yet.
Pete Dunne and Dorks.
Danny Burch says that after being out for 5 months, waiting a week for a match feels like forever. Dunne speaks. He laughs at the idea of Ciampa being the toughest man in NXT, and tonight he can try to prove it against a real tough man in Ridge Holland. Holland says something, but he was mumbling.
My mistake. He said real tough man. I thought he was going to face Ciampa.
Holland was mumbling. I actually rewound it once and still didn't get what he said, so I gave up. So he said something.
Told you, he sucks.
I'm sure it was amazing. Thoughts?
I thought it was just okay, and it wasn't as good as their last one, and it wasn't really much new. And I think Burch is kind of overdoing with the evil grin. Like I think he's just obsessed with that now.
I like Dunn here. Again, I keep saying he's much better on the mic than I initially thought.
He deserves better than this.
Burch was fine, and I couldn't honestly hear what Holland said, but there is a chance this group's going to grow on me. I'm not going to lie. I know you're sort of very down on them, but there's a chance that I'm going to start to like them,
I think Dunn works better by himself.
I mean, ideally, but if this, again, we've got the main eventer, a tag team, and the muscle. So I think that's a good...
And then we need a mid-card because Ridge Holland sucks.
Those are the good sort of archetypes for a faction, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, 4-man factions usually.
We'll see. We then see Gigi Dolan and, what's her name, JC Jane, walking away from Saray, who's lying on the ground after, I guess what we're supposed to take from that is that she was just attacked by them.
I don't know what else we were supposed to believe. Like, oh.
And I just have that felt very main roster to me. It's the whole Mean Girls thing, and it's one of the only options they know for women in WWE. They don't really write women very well, so it was they don't like you, they attacked you sort of thing. So that's what we got there. Anything to add to that?
No,
I didn't think so. We then get a match between Johnny Gargano and LA Knight. And Indy and Dexter Lumis are with Gargano, and Gargano seems sort of hesitant about that. Obviously, he's still not accepting of Dexter Lumis at this point. And then Indy is shown sort of just gazing at Dexter Lumis and ignoring sort of what's going on in the ring right before the match starts, because she's just so, in love with Dexter Lumis, who has never spoken a word, but I guess that's not important.
Yeah.
We get holds and counters to start with Gargano getting the better of Knight on the mat, as he should. I felt that was appropriate. And then Knight overpowers Gargano and throws him across the ring, which also makes total sense, right? That's what each of their advantages are, so good start. Running shoulder tackle by Knight. Gargano attempts the Gargano escape, and I liked how frantically Knight sort of scurries to the ropes. I thought that's a good touch. Drop kick and a corner chops by Gargano. Gargano's targeting Knight's left arm, but Knight hits a back elbow to shift the momentum. Suicide dive by Gargano and some more chops. Knight then drops Gargano across the top rope, hits a suplex, slingshot shoulder tackle by Knight, neckbreaker by Knight for a 2 count. Gargano shows signs of life, but Knight then just whips him down to the mat to sort of slow him down again. Gargano eventually fires up with a forearm and a swinging flatliner out of the corner. Another suicide dive by Gargano, but it's hit with a forearm from Knight. Slingshot spear by Gargano for a near fall. Gargano super kick, but then I didn't quite get what it was. But high impact move by Knight, where he just kind of throws Gargano off of his shoulder, so I don't know what quite to...
Oh, it was like a power slam, but then he threw him back.
Yeah, so I don't know. Call it what you will. And then he goes for his BFT, but it's countered into a Gargano escape, which is then countered into a near pinfall by Knight. One final beat is attempted by Gargano, but Knight lands a punch. Gargano falls from the ring, and Lumis catches him, obviously. Lumis then shoves Gargano shortly after out of the way as Knight tries to blindside him while they're still out on the floor. So he saves him, and then he saves him again by pushing Gargano out of the way. So good for Lumis. Back in the ring, but Lumis wants to share a moment with Gargano and sort of do the high five, the way high five thing. So Gargano's turned. He's hesitantly, sort of reluctantly going to do it as he's leaning through the ropes. And of course, because he's a smart professional wrestler, turns his back on LA Knight, who comes up and hits his BFT finisher for the win, as Lumis does some sort of, I think he's shifting his eyes back and forth. I think he's supposed to be showing regret, but it's really hard because he's very stoic.
Like he's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah. So what did you think of the match / all the other stuff going on?
I would call that crap. As a match, it was fine, I guess, for TV, but neither man's best effort, which, I don't know, Gargano's got, a ton of other stuff, I guess. The finish was really stupid for numerous reasons. If you're Gargano, you don't like Lumis, why would you try to reach out to him? And, at that time of all times.
That bugs me, because Gargano shouldn't do that, right?
One, he doesn't like Lumis. Two, he's smarter than that.
I would think.
And, why don't you get out of the ring and to high-five him? We're, you're farther from danger. Why wouldn't you, try to get out of the way? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Regardless, another dumb finish for the show already, and Index sucks butt.
I thought that this match was quite good. I didn't love the sort of involvement of the other two on the outside, and the finish wasn't my favorite. Same reason. I don't think it makes Gargano look great. But I thought Gargano dominated early with the speed and countering ability before Knight took over with his size and power, which all makes sense. The finish was kind of silly. Makes Gargano look a little bit stupid, but that seems to be his character right now, right? He's not the smartest guy right now for some reason. Knight gets a quality win, and I thought he looked good in this match. And I just has welcome to the Gargano effect, Mr. Knight, right? He just makes you look good. So I thought this match was pretty good. And say what you will about the way, but I have to admit, Dexter Lumis has gotten a hell of a lot out of a character that has never spoken, and that's not an easy thing to do, I don't think. Considering what he's being asked to do, he's doing a pretty good job of it. You know what I mean? It's not for me, but I can't say he's bad. He's not bad. That's just what he's been asked to do, and I think he's doing well at it. I just don't like it. So MSK are then shown walking backstage. They knock on William Regal's door. They want to give Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch a shot at the championships that they never technically lost because they had the belts when Burch got injured, right? That's what happened. So Regal says that he was going to take that match away from Lorcan and Birch because of their sort of attack last week. But he says it's very noble of MSK, and they can have that match next week. Your thoughts?
I thought it was just a short and simple way to set up a match. I think it is. Well, I can complain sometimes with the 1 week builds. I think it is smart of them to put it to next week, as everyone knows Danny and Oni are not major challengers, like we already kind of know.
It doesn't seem like it.
And neither of these teams excel in promo work, so very short build, like really short, will benefit this as a whole.
Yep. I thought this was some fine, like, classic baby face stuff, right? And I prefer when MSK is a little bit more serious. I thought Regal did a great job of really kind of looking proud of these, these young kids for asking for the match, right? Even though they don't have to. Another really short segment that I thought worked pretty much. Then we get a brief hype segment. Boa is promoting Mei Ying competing next week. That's interesting. And my question is, how the heck could you ever book this woman to lose a match?
How does a soulless being, I still remember that pattern. She is essentially a 1,000-year-old soulless being.
Who has, like, force powers.
How does she ever lose? And,
Right.
like, mystical fog that, like, knocks you out. Or, like, and how does she, I guess her finisher will be the tongue and death grip.
I think so.
How does she ever lose?
So I have to admit, I'm very curious to see this, because I have no idea how they're going to pull this off.
I don't really
As
want to
she's
see it,
been
'cause I think
presented,
it's
she
stupid.
can't ever lose. She'll just be the champion forever.
Like, the longest reigning champion ever.
So
like,
we'll see.
She'll just, like, Fabulous Moolah held it for 28 years. Nah, she's going to hold it for another 1,000 years.
Yep. Infinite champion. We'll see. So this is her start. I'm sure it'll be against a jobber next week, but I am sort of interested to see where it goes. And I just had at this point in the show, is it me, or are there more of these, like, main roster style segments where we get the camera on commentary hyping things up and going over, like, annoyingly scripted talking points?
Yeah.
I feel like it's happening more often than it used to, but I could be wrong.
I wonder why.
I don't know. We then get our next match, which is Jessie Kamea with Frankie Monet and Robert Stone facing off against our champion Raquel Gonzalez. And this is where I noticed that I'm pretty sure they're sweetening the crowd here, and it really annoys me. I find that so, I don't know, it really upsets me. It's just like, you're trying to fool us and manipulate us into things, right? And I don't appreciate it. But anyways, they're not going to stop. Gonzalez backs Kamea into a corner and then throws her with a Beal. Delayed suplex attempt by Gonzalez, but Kamea lands on her feet. We get a side slam by Gonzalez and her, like, Vader bomb elbow drop thing in the corner. Kamea awkwardly, really awkwardly, trips. We actually looked at it twice, I think. Gonzalez then evades a kick and hits a couple of her own kicks. Kamea misses a kick and Gonzalez hits a drop kick. Scoop slam by Gonzalez, who hangs Kamea on the top of the rope. Kamea stomps Gonzalez's foot but runs right into a back elbow, and then the one-armed powerbomb by Gonzalez, and it is over. Gonzalez locks eyes with Frankie Monet as Robert Stone is sort of checking on Kamea. Your thoughts?
I did not like this match at all. This is not even good by squash match standards. Raquel looked worse than usual, and Kamea looked worse than ever, with numerous moves in a row that were questionable at best, like when she was doing, like, the weird leg
It was
kick
bad.
stuff. It was really bad.
Yep.
Raquel didn't even get her finisher that good either.
No,
like,
she didn't.
It was just really bad overall. Like, I don't know how you screw up, like, a squash match like this bad. Like, it was just not good.
Yeah, I don't love saying this, but I don't think Kamea is very good at this point. And
no, I was saying she's bad just because she's kind of a low-tier jobber, but, like, she got to shine against, like, one of the top women on the roster, and she looked really bad. Like, I think I can be confident in saying she's bad now.
And yeah, the few things that she did do here didn't look very good.
No.
And I think Gonzalez has improved a ton, maybe more than almost anyone. But at this point, maybe she's not good enough to pull somebody like Kamea, who's so inexperienced, to a decent match, because I don't think this was. I agree, her finisher looked weaker than I've ever seen it. And again, this match was pretty close to a waste of time. The best part, I thought, was the stare down between Gonzalez and Monet at the end. That was the part that I cared about the most, to be honest. So not great. So Ember Moon then gets a chance to speak, which is sometimes not the greatest thing. She's talking to Mackenzie. Moon brings up her own birthday, which I always find is lame when people do that.
It's like, hey, it's her, although it's different, like, when Michael Scott does. Remember when he, like,
well,
he's
yeah,
like,
because Michael Scott's the coolest.
Well, he's like, like, happy birthday. And it's like, oh, I thought we had the same birthday.
Right.
That's smooth.
Moon says that Kaylee Ray has never been in the ring with someone like her. She says if Kaylee wants to talk crap about her, she'll see her next week. Thoughts about this very brief promo, thankfully?
So this seems to be setting up that match I want, so sign me up. But
yeah, me too.
I feel like you could turn this into a program, and putting it next week just doesn't really imply
They could
that.
extend it, right? Because it's now going to be taken over by the same people that book the same matches every week after week after week on main roster. So we might get 7 of these, right?
That's a fair point.
I thought by Ember Moon standards, this was a fine promo because sometimes I find her like bad. So this wasn't bad.
Right.
And again, like you're saying, the match should be really good and it will be a quality win for Kaylee Ray to start because I assume that they will make the right decision and have Kaylee Ray decisively win, I would hope.
Right.
So that should get her off to a good start because that's a quality win and not starting it with jobbers.
Right.
Wade Barrett sits down with Samoa Joe for an interview. Joe talks about taking the championship without... I thought it was clever because he talks about summarizing kind of what happened, but never mentions Karrion Kross by name because Kross is gone, and that's just a professional move by Joe.
Right.
Wade says that Joe is holding his unprecedented 3rd NXT championship.
But I don't think Kross really wants to hear someone mentioning him when he's looking the way he does.
I know. And Joe says now it's his responsibility to show how to be NXT champion. Joe says legacy is important. He mentions Balor and Nakamura. He will carry on the legacy in the media and for the fans. He has shown the way to championship gold. Joe has set the precedent, and he wants to know who's going to step up next and brave the wilds of coming after him. He's more than happy to help them find those answers, which I kind of liked. What did you think of this sit-down segment?
I like Barrett more than the other guy.
Yeah.
I thought it was a solid promo from Joe, but it was very vague and a little generic. And for a discussing his future kind of thing, it really didn't get the job done again. Like the last one. Thought it was good promo work, but it offers a little in the way of future insight, which is what I'm kind of looking for. Like
it sounds like he's going open challenge almost.
I guess, but they're really keeping us in the dark of like
who's next.
Not even like who do you want to face?
Right.
Like
I think the point is he doesn't care, right? I thought he was good here. He speaks really well. He has a really good vocabulary, and I really like when people can be intimidating without raising their voice. He does at times, but he can also just quietly be sort of menacing, which I always appreciate. He really sounds like a guy that can back up what he says, right? Like he's a confident guy. Right. He doesn't need to yell. We then get Roderick Strong with Diamond Mine facing Ikemen Jiro in an open challenge. So over the weekend, Jiro tells us he answered Roderick Strong's open challenge because Kushida is his hero. So he's doing it for Kushida. And now we see as the Diamond Mine make their entrance.
I guess that makes sense because Jiro's been trained by
the people. Creed brothers are now officially a part of Diamond Mine, as you had suspected, right?
Right, yeah. So that's nice. I mean, they're still trying to fill a gaping void, but it's something, right?
Yep. Of Tyler Rust is who he's referring to. His beloved Tyler Rust. Strong dominates the match early, but Jiro speeds things up and uses his coat to hit a bunch of strikes, which I still like. It hasn't gotten old for me.
Yeah.
The action spills outside.
It's unique, right? It's something.
Yep. And Strong hip tosses Jiro onto the steps, and that looked really painful. And it's right near the rest of Diamond Mine, who are sort of just not getting involved but are closely watching. I thought that spot looked great. I don't know if there's any way that didn't hurt, because it kind of looked like he caught the corner almost, or the edge. Roddy then tosses Jiro into the ring and stomps him. We get a backbreaker by Strong, brief abdominal stretch, eventual flurry by Jiro with jacket shots and a split-legged moonsault, knee lift by Strong, 2 end of heartache backbreaker that commentary don't call at all, even though it's the finish, and the match is over. Roderick Strong wins. So Diamond Mine stand together in the ring after the match. Your thoughts?
So I like this as an enhancement match much better than Raquel versus Kamea. Like, take notes. I thought both of them had good moves. I thought both of them looked good. And this is what an enhancement match is supposed to do. Both of them look good, and the person who you know is going to win gets a win.
Yep. I'm unfortunately for Jiro, I think he's perfect for these type of matches, and it's too bad because
that character's like,
I really like him.
As good as it is, it's never gonna like.
And the crowd's gonna enjoy it. He can show off some really cool stuff, but he doesn't have to win. I
think he makes the weight limit, so I wouldn't mind him as cruiserweight champion. He could fit in there.
But he's one of those where his gimmick doesn't need wins, really, right? Which is unfortunate for him, but it's fun. The crowd really likes him.
But I think as long as he's in matches like this where he can still look good, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Crowd loves him and his gimmick.
And Strong is the type of guy to make him look good, right?
Yep. His moves are fun. The crowd gets into it. The jacket is cool. Losses, like I said,
He's got a lot of cool ones.
Really don't hurt him. He seems to be slated as like the competitive guy that loses fairly short matches. But hey,
and roster needs
somebody's got to
right?
do it. Yep. I hope he can rise above that spot on the card. I think he's pretty good, and I find him fun to watch every time we watch him. I quite enjoy him. So I thought this match was good for what it was. Like you're saying, this is a very good enhancement match. Jiro looked good. The stair spot looked awesome, and I love the end of Heartache. I think it's a very cool move, even though commentary don't know what it is. It looked great.
Yeah, that's kind of offensive.
The Creed brothers, man, they're not even believable just standing there. Like, they look silly to me.
Yeah, I noted that at least the one guy, just his face is just like...
They didn't add anything as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we'll see, obviously. They're like, brand new, but...
the one guy just standing there,
he
doesn't buy it. I don't buy it.
No. Mackenzie talks to Io, Zoe, Casey Catanzaro, and Kaden Carter all at once. Casey says they respect the champs, but that they, meaning her and Kaden, are actually a real team and friends, and Zoe and Io aren't.
Oh, she went there.
So Zoe says that they've forgotten how good Io is, and that she's committed to Io, and she would take a bullet for her. Io, which I love, she just says, I don't like you. She doesn't like any of them, right? But Zoe is her partner, so they will win. Thoughts? It's pretty quick little.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird, I guess, but it could still be a good match.
It could be.
Hopefully Io can make Carter and Catanzaro look good, because they have looked good.
They're just inconsistent, right? And
yeah, that's the only issue, because then I can't really decide if they're good or not.
And their high-risk style sort of lends itself to being inconsistent, unless you're, like, amazing at it and have it down to a science, right? Like, they're sort of still developing, and so there's a risk of them looking good or not, depending. Because they've had one match where I was blown away, and then somewhere I thought things kind of needed to be tightened up a bit. So I'm hopeful, though. I mean, I would like it to be good, obviously. Grimes is talking to Mackenzie. He says that DiBiase taught him that there is only $1 million man and one Cameron Grimes. Grizzled young veterans interrupt. They mock Grimes for going through everything he has and ending up with only a replica belt, which I was like, decent point, right? That's fair. Right. They suggest he could have any belt, sort of implying that, at first thinking they're talking he's good enough to win any championship, but then they sort of finish by saying you can just buy it from the WWE shop and get another replica. Grimes talks about the belt being heavy and drops it on Gibson's toe, who has to sell it like a cartoon character, and now I'm super annoyed.
I thought the sound effect was like that too. It sounded heavily effective.
And it's a replica belt. It doesn't, it's not that heavy. I don't know.
I mean, it would hurt, but
it bothered me. It became cartoonish, like main roster stuff. Right.
I mean, yes, that would hurt. It would not hurt, but I agree, it was kind of oversold.
I was fine with everything until Gibson had to do that.
I did them making fun of Grimes with all the replica titles and we could make it Universal Champion.
And that was funny. My question to you, what is this interaction leading to? Because you've got a tag team talking to a singles guy. They've had no real interaction.
Ted DiBiase's in-ring return.
Right? No, but honestly, I don't know what this is going to lead to.
I don't know.
And maybe that's intrigue then? I don't know, I guess.
I liked a Grimes line about alone, but the toe drop was lame, and it really sounded like a sound effect.
I'm pretty sure it was.
So stupid.
As someone who adds sound effects into things these days, I'm pretty sure it was. They would then run down next week's show. It actually looks pretty good, right? The lineup, we get a women's tag team championship match, men's tag team championship match, and we get Ember Moon versus Kaylee Ray. So that right there is 3 matches I'm interested in. So that's good, since that might be the last show that the last one we really like before the new switch to everything.
Yeah, the card looks good.
That takes us to the main event, which is Tommaso Ciampa facing Jack's favorite wrestler, Ridge Holland. Ciampa aggressively in control early until a belly-to-belly overhead by Holland. Running knee to Holland's head in the corner. Lorcan and Birch sort of pull Holland out before he has to take another knee to the head. Holland's then run into the barricade and the ring post before Ciampa hits a running knee and hangs... he had Holland lying on the announce table, right? Sort of hanging over the edge, and a running knee to the head that I thought looked pretty good. There's a momentary distraction by Lorcan and Birch. Holland uses it to flapjack Ciampa and take the momentum over. Strike exchange, Ciampa's down. Lengthy chin lock by Holland, gotta love a chin lock. And a shot to Ciampa's lower back. Flurry of strikes and chops by Ciampa before his forever clotheslines or infinite clotheslines or whatever
gotta
you want to call
love
it. And then he hits one last one in the middle of the ring and gets a 2 count. Alabama slam by Holland, and the ref is checking on Ciampa. This whole ref checking on people seems to be a thing now that they're doing a little bit. Whether it's like, I don't think it's ever legit. I think it's part of the story. But anyways, another strike exchange, air raid crash by Ciampa for 2. Outside of the ring again, Holland puts Ciampa over his shoulder, runs him into the barricade. Then many quick knees to Holland's head as he's in the ropes. I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And the Willow's Bell, and I was a little bit surprised. It's over. Tommaso Ciampa picks up the win here. There's a post-match attack and beat down by the heels until MSK come down and make the save as the teams sort of brawl on the ramp. The heels eventually retreat and stand on the ramp as the show ends. Thoughts on this match? Sorry, not the show yet.
A fine TV match, probably Holland's best match to date, which is not a testament to him, more so Ciampa. Probably because Ciampa was mostly in control, but best match for Holland nonetheless.
Yep.
And he lost.
Yep.
I am very happy Ciampa won in one clean because Holland isn't that good. Maybe this will hopefully derail his push a bit.
Yep.
I highly doubt it because it's probably all planned, but nothing super noteworthy. But that's pretty nice. I don't know. I think Ciampa's an experienced guy, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
I thought this was a pretty good match, but it's not a main event on a show that's had some absolutely fantastic main events, right? So a good match, but this isn't where I would place it, ideally on a show. Holland doesn't really impress me that much yet, but he doesn't look bad either, right? He does have some potential for sure. And in a match with Ciampa, he probably looks a little bit better than he usually does. I think that's what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Holland, right? And I'm pretty sure he's going to have a championship of some kind in the near future.
I really like
This is the exact type of guy
should hold any
Vince wants. Former athlete and big and muscly. So
and a guy they can make suck.
So I can be okay with it as long as he continues to improve. He keeps getting better. I don't have a problem with it, right? As long as they don't give him too much before he really deserves it. But who am I to say when he deserves it, I guess.
I'll say never.
Overall thoughts on the show.
The opener was lame, and the finisher was. It was just dumb. I think Mandy Rose shouldn't even be here in the first place. Ciampa cut a solid promo per the standard, and I thought Hudson O'Reilly was pretty good, exceeding my expectations. Dragunov's promo was fine. I like how he's actually started to get over with people. That's good.
Yep.
Because I think he is good. Kaylee Ray's interview was also fine. I thought Hayes' promo was also fine as well. I still don't really know how I feel about Jobber Girl and Legato. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Imperium versus Maverick and Waller was random and filler at best. Could be a storyline starting, but honestly, now that I think of it, not one that I'm super interested in. Just because they've done it a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
The Way segment was lame and the same as everything else they've done recently.
Yep.
Just gross. And Pete Dunne group promo was okay. Gargano versus Knight was a fine TV match, and the finish was dumb, which unfortunately seems to be a recent recurring theme.
Yeah, the finish is not being great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just distraction finishes specifically, and just dumb finishes in general.
Yep.
Raquel versus Jessica Kamea was an awful squash match, which that feels weird to say, but it's not even they just look both bad. Hopefully the rest of the feud between Raquel and Monet is better, because this is just awful. Joe's interview was fine if you're looking at his promo work. He said a bunch without really saying much, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we get some more clarification soon. That would be nice. Strong had a pretty good enhancement match with Jiro, and that's how it's done, women. And the main event was just fine. Holland's best match so far. Which doesn't say much, but nonetheless, overall fine show. I'm gonna give it a B because it wasn't the best, and
I'm surprised because there was a lot of that was dumb and it sucked and she sucks and he sucks.
It wasn't the worst show,
fine.
so
yeah.
I'll give it a B.
Okay, for me,
fair.
in ring, I wasn't a fan of the opener. I don't know if many people could be, and I don't think the Kamea Gonzalez match was good. I thought Hudson O'Reilly and the main event were good. Imperium Maverick Waller was pretty much a squash. Gargano Knight was probably my match of the night. I thought it was pretty good, and I thought a good enhancement match, right, with Jiro and Roderick Strong. So I was pretty happy in ring, minus a couple of the matches, I guess. But they were pretty brief. The ones that I didn't like were not very long, at least. Segment-wise, I thought Kaylee Ray was awesome. Dragunov did a good job. I liked Joe's segment much more than you did. Ember Moon was better than usual, and everything else in between was fine, at least. I don't think there were any bad segments. There was a bad match or two, but I don't think any of the segments were bad. So I feel like basically all those things combined, I agree with you. I gave it a B, which I feel like is a common grade for NXT, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with being consistent, right? It's not like it's amazing, but it's never bad.
Consistently awful, then.
No, yeah, it's consistently good, but not great as often as I would like it to be. And I just hope that we still like it once the new people take over and everything gets redone. Because I doubt it. You've heard me say it before. I have seen literally every NXT since the beginning of time, since it was a legit like competition show.
I'm sorry, but I can't trust them after that logo. So I just don't trust them.
I don't want to have to stop watching it, but if it's really brutal and it's a painful 2 hours, I will. Yep. If I have to. But I'm going to give it a legit chance. I'm going to try and come in open-minded and see if I like it, because you never know. You might be surprised. But if Vince and Brother Love are actually the ones in charge, I have a feeling I'm not going to be happy. But,
yeah.
I mean, it might be fun for you guys to listen to us get angry and review stuff we hate, too. So who knows? It might work.
Yeah, but that's fun sometimes. Like, if we have to review
It might be fun to talk about it, but not fun watching it, right? So you kind of have to weigh, like, is the talking about it fun enough?
I really don't want to have to watch something bad every week.
2 hours. It's different.
2 hours of crap every week.
It's different if it's an hour, right?
Or even if it's like a 2 hour so pay-per-view that you watch once.
Speaking of pay-per-views, I'm about to watch in my WCW 1995. I'm up to Starrcade 95, which is when they are combining with New Japan just randomly.
Right, that's one of the tournament things.
So I'm kind of interested to watch it. I'm probably going to start it tonight.
I know that because I think that's the one with I think there's Liger.
Yep,
and
pretty sure. I don't know who else. They keep showing him. I think that's basically
I want to say Hashimoto's in it.
Maybe.
Kind of chubby, baggy pants. But yeah, because that I've watched a couple times the Cultaholic ranking every Starrcade.
Yep, and I was wondering when it kicks into 2 hours. I think it's in 96, and then apparently they were 2 hours before Raw. Raw followed suit in 97, I think. Because I was like, when is it going to hit? And you know what's really funny, I thought? I told you I just watched, it was like a couple episodes ago, where Medusa came and threw the women's title. So I'm thinking, that's a major moment. But wait, there hasn't been a women's match on Nitro in... So I don't know, unless they were like other shows for WCW, and I can't remember, even though I was alive and watching it then.
I don't know if WCW Saturday Night
you
was
bring in the women's champion, and I don't. As far as I'm concerned, they don't have a women's division, because now I've watched months.
Has WCW ever had a women's title?
They must. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't need my memory. I used to watch it all and love it. I don't remember being one. But again, they bring her over, and it feels like they don't even have a women's division.
They did. But
yeah.
But I don't recognize that.
All right. So anyways, that brings us to the end of our NXT review, and we'll transition into the next segment where I try to stump Jack with some general wrestling trivia.
You generally fail.
In a segment we like to call Off the Top of His Head. All right. So we're going to go with 25 questions. Again.
Oh, yeah. I will kick your butt.
General wrestling trivia.
Did you try it?
No, I did, but it was like last week, so I don't know if I'll remember. This is my last. I'm going to have to start making my own or find other ones, because no DQ. This is the last half of the last one, because their quizzes have been good. So let's try it. Ready? Question 1. What was the name of the pay-per-view where Chris Jericho defeated Austin and The Rock on the same night?
Vengeance.
To become the
2001.
undisputed champion. I didn't ask for the year. You're going too far. But what was it? 2001?
Vengeance.
Nice. I know. You got that. I just messed the year. Which city hosted the first SummerSlam? And you have options, as always. Well, not as always, as the last few weeks. Sorry?
It was SummerSlam 88, so I don't know. What was it?
New York, East Rutherford, Philly, or Los Angeles?
I want to say Rutherford.
East Rutherford. It was New York City. Who was the special guest ring announcer for the Bret Hart versus Chris Benoit match on WCW Nitro in memory of Owen Hart?
Oh,
I have options.
Stu Hart?
Wow, he's one of the options, but it's not. It was Harley Race.
What? That makes no sense.
Sorry. Who was AJ Styles' tag team partner in WCW? I knew this one. He was briefly there.
Options?
Christopher Daniels, Air Paris, Elix Skipper, or Styles wasn't in WCW?
Elix Skipper.
Nope. Air Paris. I'm almost positive. Correct. He was not around very long.
No, I know it wasn't the last one, because I know Styles was in WCW.
Which pay-per-view did Randy Savage compete in his first and only TNA match? Sorry, I only have 2 options.
I know this.
So your options are either Final Resolution or Turning Point. It'll be a 50-50 this time.
Final Resolution.
Nope, Turning Point.
Doing bad.
What was Barry Windham's name when he briefly returned to WWE in 1989?
Stalker.
Is incorrect.
What?
It was the Widowmaker. Remember I talked about that before? I knew that one. I might be doing better than you right now. 2000, which has never happened. No? He was, but not at that point, obviously. At the 2000 ECW Heatwave pay-per-view, which indie wrestling promotion had an incident with ECW
XPW.
stars? That is correct. I had a feeling you'd get that one. I didn't know that one. 1994 Survivor Series. Who was the special guest referee for Undertaker Yokozuna casket match?
Mr. Perfect?
Mr. Perfect it was Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah.
Now you remember?
Yeah.
Who was the first?
I should have done the option.
Who was the first person to join the WWE's version of NWO after Hulk Hogan left?
X-Pac?
X-Pac is one of the options and is correct. Who did The Undertaker defeat to become 10-0 at WrestleMania? Now he's got to go through them all, right? In his head.
I want to say his first one was...
Okay, but you can't take this long to go through all 10.
It's 93. Let me just say...
Play the Jeopardy music.
Okay, so what is 7?
I have options as well if you would like them. But I know you will know if you get there. He's counting on his fingers right now, folks. He's not looking anything up, I promise. Triple H is one of the options. It is Ric Flair.
I was 1 year off.
Oh, were you? What was the opening match of ECW's first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, in 1997?
Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn? Is that an option?
Not an option. You want your options? Eliminators, Dudley Boys?
Yes.
Van Dam, Storm?
Okay, keep going.
Taz, Candido? Mikey Whipwreck, Just Incredible?
Whipwreck, Incredible.
I feel like it's the tag team one. It was the tag team.
I was going to say that.
Who did Hulk Hogan face on the first edition of WCW Nitro in 1995? And I have options if you'd like them.
Do you know? Because you were just watching.
I didn't go back that far. I kind of started in the middle of 95 for some reason. I was trying to get a taste of it before NWA showed up. Or NWO showed up, sorry.
Options?
Taskmaster, Zodiac, Barbarian, Big Bubba. Zodiac is incorrect. Big Bubba.
I don't know who that is.
You're killing it this week. What was the opening match of the first edition of AEW Dynamite in 2019?
Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara.
That is correct. There you go. Got a few more, so let's finish strong.
Of course it was Cody.
Who did Ken Shamrock defeat to win the 1998 King of the Ring?
Options?
Triple H, Owen Hart, Jeff Jarrett, The Rock.
I want to say The Rock. I was going to say that, but I wanted to check.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Who was the first person to win the WWE version of the U.S. title when it was reinstated in 2003? Eddie Guerrero's correct. Don't even have to finish the question. Who was the second entry in the 1995 Royal Rumble? That seems like a very specific...
I feel like it's one of the Blue Brothers.
I don't think so. You want options?
Sure.
British Bulldog, Owen Hart, Lex Luger, Doink the Clown.
Bulldog.
British Bulldog is correct. Did you know?
No.
Once you heard it? Oh, it's a guess?
I just figured it sounded like him. I feel like I watched it recently.
What type of match did Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA have at the 1985 Starrcade?
There's a steel cage I quit.
Why would you know that? You're right.
I watched
so here's one you won't know because I was barely alive
US
at that point.
Title.
Oh, you did?
Or every U.S. champion ranked, and that's like one of the infamous U.S. titles.
Well, I mean, you said Steel Cage, I quit, and the answer is I quit Steel Cage, but I'll give it to you because I'm a nice man.
So do you have to say I quit Steel Cage?
Feeling magnanimous. No, because it has I quit in quotation marks, but not the Steel Cage part.
I quit the Steel Cage.
Which WWE tag team had the theme song entitled All American Boys?
Steiners?
You want options?
Sure. Is the Steiners an option?
No. Rotunda and Barry Windham, Can-Am Express, Fabulous Rougeaus, the Un-Americans.
Oh, I feel like it's
Isn't there only one of those that would possibly have it? Because Can-Am Express is a Canadian and an American. The Fabulous Rougeaus are Canadian. And the Un-Americans are
un-American, but I feel like that'd be ironic.
So they're misleading you? What's your guess?
I'm going to go with the American people.
The Rotunda and Wyndham?
Yeah.
Nope. The Fabulous Rougeaus.
What?
Who was the last person to win the WWE European title?
See, it's kind of a trick question. I'm going to get Jeff Hardy, technically.
Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam.
See, I know there's a trick
Tell me
question.
why. Why is that a trick question?
Rob Van Dam won the title unification match. He didn't win the title. He unified it. Jeff Hardy is the last one to win it.
So you did kind of know that one. I'll give it to you.
I knew it was, but like that's kind of a trick question because like then he's the last person to win the hardcore title. No, he's not.
I hope you know this because little kid me, this was my favorite wrestler before I got into all the heels when I got a little bit older. Hall of Famer, questionable Hall of Famer, Coco Beware's pet bird's name.
Frankie.
Yeah, I was like, really? You don't know? Frankie is correct. How many times has Hulk Hogan won the WWE Championship?
6 times.
6 times. But that doesn't sound that impressive, but if you add up the length of time, right, it's probably very impressive.
One of them's like ridiculously long.
Right. Who won the 3rd season of NXT when it was the women? Or a woman won, sorry.
AJ.
AJ Lee?
Yeah.
Okay. Incorrect. It was Caitlyn. I remember that. Which team won the 1st season of Mixed Match Challenge?
I want to say Miz and Asuka.
Miz and Asuka is correct. Nice.
I don't want to know that. I remember they were called Team Asuka.
Second last question. NXT TakeOver War Games 2. Who did Velveteen Dream dress up as?
Hollywood Hogan.
Hollywood Hogan is correct. All right. Last question.
Ciampa.
So the second half of this, you've done much better. Let's see if you can go out on top. Oh, yeah. It's one you won't know. Perfect. What was the official theme song for the 2003 SummerSlam pay-per-view? I do have options. I love it. This is the goal.
Okay.
Options?
Yeah.
Crack Addict by Limp Bizkit. Get It Poppin' by Fat Joe and Nelly. Summertime Blues by Rush. Saint Anger by Metallica.
Get It Poppin'.
Get It Poppin' is... No, it was Metallica.
Screw you, Metallica.
Might be your weakest off the top of his head. So, folks, if you're new to the podcast, he usually crushes like 80 to 90% of the questions. We found the stars have aligned a perfect storm of stuff he didn't happen to know. Oh, it actually gives you a rating. You got mid-carder.
Yeah!
As your rating. While you're not a top star, at least the internet thinks you are, it says.
Yay! That's good.
Well, good job. So,
people think I'm the star.
So that's going to bring us to the end of our trivia segment.
Oh, yeah, because this is technically the end of the quiz, right?
Yep. We're going to switch back to talking about some more wrestling in depth, and that's taking a look at this week's AEW Dynamite.
And this is actually the 100th episode of Dynamite.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's what they said that. And the Go Home episode, right, to All Out. So let's hope they build some hype.
I'm surprised they didn't have like a Dynamite 100 logo or whatever. That would have been cool.
We got to 100 podcasts before they got to 100 episodes. I mean, not episodes of our flagship, as we're obviously only on 59, but if you combine all of our other stuff, we're up over 100 already, which is pretty nuts to think about.
Yeah.
So I think that means we're better than AEW, right?
We definitely are.
Definitely.
I agree.
Definitely. You dozens and dozens of people listening to us, you know.
We double their viewership.
Absolutely. They get millions, we get dozens.
I think our total viewership, like, in the year we've been doing it, probably doesn't even...
Of course not. Not even close. Not even close. We are just... This is like a hobby thing for us at this point. We have a few loyal listeners, and we seem to add some along the way.
AEW's just Tony Khan's hobby.
Yeah, when we started, I said I would do this if 5 or 10 people listen, because I think that's crazy that 5 or 10 people listen to us, and it's considerably more than that now, which is really cool.
And our opener is an excellent choice for an opener.
Agreed.
FTR and Proud and Powerful. And you know it's good because Proud and Powerful got the face paint on. That's how you know it's important.
And they had to show us the injury again, right?
Yeah.
They're in love with showing us that disgusting.
They love it, yeah. It's weird.
Like, to think that it's the turnbuckle hooked his arm and stretched it out to the point.
How did the hook even get him, though?
That's one of those, like, it's a completely freak accident. It may never happen again in the whole, like, eternity of wrestling, but it happened that one time.
I would be, like, forever terrified of turnbuckles.
And within this match, right, they sort of set up a spot where they looked like they were trying to do it to Ortiz, which was an interesting little spot.
That's kind of funny.
But you can't set up a freak accident either, which I guess is... But anyway, sorry, you're talking about the match. Go ahead.
So this is like an action-packed opener, and it helps with like the feud that's behind it.
Right.
Notables. There was a lot of back and forth mat wrestling at the beginning with Santana and Dax. Got a bit of a strike exchange. They were both kind of going for hip tosses, but neither of them got it until they kind of got to the ropes and were forced to break. Both teams brawl in the ring. Power and Powerful sent FTR to the outside, hit stereo dives. I think Ortiz hit like the Phoenix move, where it's like the suicide tope.
Right.
Which I think that's pretty nice.
It is.
Santana hits a cannonball off of Ortiz's back to FTR against the barricade. Kind of what they do in the ring, but just adapted to the outside.
Yeah, it looked cool.
Cash sends Ortiz in 2 separate ring posts, like shoulder first, that classic spot in the ring where like they go between turnbuckles.
Yep.
Repeated arm stomps to Ortiz by Dax kind of standing on the arm with one foot and then stomping with the other. FTR expose a turnbuckle and use it to attack Ortiz's arm more. Santana gets a flurry off of a hot tag, capped off by the 3 Amigos, which is essentially just 3 suplexes on Dax. He also hits a frog splash for 2. Double back suplex, and then a wheelbarrow cutter by Pound Powerful, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
Cheap shot by Cash, and then another nice brainbuster by Dax for 2, which was, they noted, the finish to the last match.
Might be my favorite brainbuster because he brings it straight
Didn't
vertical.
Pac hit a good one, I feel like?
Yeah, he does, but it's like straight down. It looked awesome.
Yeah, and that was the finish to the last match, although that was kind of impromptu.
Although Eli Isom on ROH, if you listen to my ROH reviews, his brainbuster, The Promise, is pretty nice too.
Yeah. FTR go for a double suplex, but Santana takes out Dax, and Ortiz gets an inside cradle on Cash for a pretty cool near fall. Tandem, or Pound Powerful hit this thing where, they've got the guy in they're as if they're going for a double back suplex.
Yep.
But then they flip him over onto his stomach.
It did look really
flapjack.
cool.
It's a really nice move. They get that for 2. It's a pretty nice move. Gory bomb with a little extra stink on it by Cash for 2.
That's funny. I have extra pace on it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he got him up for it and just ran and slammed him down. I'm sorry, Kaylee Ray, but that was better.
It looked good.
And that is his finishing move.
How dare you insult Kaylee Ray?
Because I remember they had solo matches on Raw once. They did one of the things. I want to say they were feuding with the B team or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the tag teams are feuding, so they have back-to-back one-on-one matches.
Right.
And Cash had a gory bomb, and then Dax I think he does an inverted figure 4 or whatever. FTR hit the smash contraption, but Santana's able to break the pin with the top rope dive.
AKA Big Rig is what they call it, but we decided
it's an awful name, but I know
Big Rig is an awful name, and Smash Contraption we modified from Shatter Machine in NXT because we thought that was a cool name, so we thought that the AEW version should be Smash Contraption, if you're wondering where that came from.
Right, and then I just think Big Rig is a bad name. I do like the homage to Brody Lee that. That's cool and all.
Yeah, of course, that is the cool part.
As an actual name, it sucks, but...
So the FNS trademarked version is Smash Contraption. Feel free to use it, people.
No, I will take hold of Smash. My 2 favorite names that I will want to keep is Smash Contraption.
Yep.
And Death Rhombus.
Death Rhombus, yes.
Death Rhombus is the best.
Yep.
The finish comes when Santana hits a really nice roll through cutter. Ortiz hits a middle rope diving codebreaker, and then they hit that backdrop kind of flip over move once again.
Yes.
And they get the win, which made me really sad because I wanted to see the street sweeper.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised they hit that twice and used it as a finisher.
For those who don't know, that's literally a blockbuster powerbomb.
It's cool.
It's amazing.
Yep.
I love it
and the name Street Sweeper is just cool too. I don't even know why, but I like it.
Right. It's just a cool name. It plays into their kind of background or whatever, right? What'd you think on this one hell of an opener?
I really, really liked this match. I thought it was a super fun start to the show. This is kind of my expectation for Dynamite every week.
Opposed to Mandy Rose. And I have a question. Do you think this warrants a 3rd match?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will always take a match. I can't see myself getting tired of certain combinations in this company. It's just 2 fantastic tag teams.
Exactly.
They were given a decent amount of time to show what they could do. I thought everybody looked good. No slow
right,
parts.
because the last one kind of ended short, right? So this is them actually... I feel like this is what it would have been if they were given a proper go the first time around.
So they're now 1-1, right, as you're saying, and I think we definitely need a 3rd match and give them even more time somewhere along the line. I thought the finishing sequence was really cool. Other than I was a bit surprised the match ended there only because that's not the normal established finisher for me, but it still looks cool, so I was okay with it. Excellent opener. Nice to see Cash back. 25 stitches, I was telling you, is a gruesome injury. 25 stitches is a lot. That's a major wound. So I'm sure he's a little bit gun shy getting back in the ring. He'd have to be. But I thought he looked good here, and I'm glad that he's back and seems to be healthy enough to work a really, really fun match.
Yeah. I really like this. It was, what a way to start the show. A stark contrast to NXT's opener from this week.
For sure.
There's a good feed behind this match, a bit more of a score to settle after the events of the first match. And they busted out some really cool stuff here, and no major injuries this time, thankfully.
Yes.
2 A-class teams putting on a absolute clinic. I definitely think they should put on a third match with an extra stipulation on it, I feel like, because they've shown that they can put on an absolute banger in a normal match.
Yep.
And then I think, because it's kind of that blood feud, they need one more.
I think they have to. And I think AEW will generally give fans what they want instead of telling them what they want.
And I think it's kind of weird. It feels right now like they've kind of distanced themselves from the faction feud.
Yeah.
Because I guess it has died down, but
yes.
also it feels like they kind of have their own issue.
And I kind of like that not everyone needs to be in a faction battle. Some can have a little bit more specific feuds going on. I think a balance is nice.
I even feel like, I don't know.
And I love factions.
I feel more so that FTR have been kind of distanced from the Pinnacle. Just, I don't know, as it feels as a late.
You're right. Like, I was kind of like, oh yeah, when you just said that, like, they are in Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they're using their own theme. Like, I feel like even on the first match, they used the Pinnacle's theme. I can't remember, but like, I feel like even they would use the Pinnacle's theme sometimes, right? Or like that's what they would use because like they're part of the faction. So it's kind of weird that. And I would like to say that Santana and Ortiz's current theme is inferior to their first theme.
Sure. I don't really.
Those are details I liking the first one.
That's your department for sure.
I remember you liked the first one.
I did really like the first one.
Yeah.
But I can't even think of the second one.
Exactly.
Right.
You're making my point for me.
Okay.
Next, we got a promo from Jalen Garcia and 2.0, FKA Everrise. Matt Lee, FKA Martel.
Yes.
Whatever his first name was.
I think it was Matt, actually. I could be wrong.
Rick Martel.
Not Rick Martel, for sure.
He tells Darby to look past Garcia. No, look past Punk is what I meant to write.
Yeah.
Parker says he is excited because they'll take away Punk versus Allen. Garcia says he'll twist Darby in every way possible, and he won't make it to All Out.
Yeah, I thought 2.0 were really good on the mic, especially Matt Lee. I think he's really strong. I don't think Garcia is, to contrast. I think his strength is more in ring at this point. So I think that's smart to have them sort of partner up. At first, it felt kind of strange to me, but it makes sense. They can sort of do the vast majority of the talking. And I thought this was a fine, quick little promo.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid promo from them. And I think they're in a pretty good spot because they're really low carb, but they're also like hovering around the major stuff. It's
right, and you can heat them up a little bit if you need to. Like, I don't think they're ever going to be like top of the card tag team, but they are a very useful team to have to plug into certain spots all over the card, I think, and they work pretty much anywhere. I really like them. I really like them in NXT. I know you didn't, but I think part of that isn't their fault, right? It's the way they're presented by WWE, and you're going to see a much better version of them here.
Right. Next we get another promo from CM Punk. He's back. On some crowd pandering talk. He talks about how it could all end because he's been gone for so long.
I didn't think he got a huge reaction here.
Yeah, and it's not like he was out with an injury, though.
And then I got super annoyed because the crowd's chanting, "You've still got it," when he hasn't performed a wrestling move yet. So let's just hold off.
His promo?
I guess, yeah.
But I don't even think that's what they're talking about, so it's like, you know?
Yeah.
And 2.0 and Garcia interrupt and attack Punk and get like booed, so there's a reaction at least, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
That he's at least, or they're at least getting booed. Allen and Sting come out, and 2.0 and Garcia all get hit with their finishers, including a GTS.
Mm-hmm.
Punk and Allen kind of have a stare down, and yay, Sting speaks. That's what I wanted.
For sure.
Sting says he always wanted to share a ring with Punk. Suck up. Sting says their paths never crossed, and he says it felt good to see a GTS and a coffin drop in his finisher. Like, oh yeah, it was so good to do thing. Like,
yes.
I don't know. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, it felt so good, even though he's like, he probably wrestled at Revolution, which was like February or whatever. So he's been doing it. It's not like it's his first time doing it again. Like,
no.
Chill out, bruh.
You're so anti-Sting.
Sting says they cleared out traffic, and that will include him. He says he knows they are ready, and he'll remain in the back. Yay!
Yes. So I'm really happy for Garcia and 2.0 for even being in CM Punk's orbit, just even briefly, right? That must be a thrill for them, because this is the hottest thing going in wrestling right now, and they're sort of like affiliated with him a little bit right here. So I think that this was pretty smart overall. You kind of reinforce that Darby Allin is still a babyface, right? He's in a feud with Punk right now, and nobody's more over than Punk. So you don't want to run the risk of making Allin sort of a heel. So again, he comes in to make a save and sort of help Punk here. You also stop CM Punk from making another lengthy speech in the ring. And not that he's not amazing at it, but I think he needs to start doing something else. You also introduce a tiny bit of physicality with Punk, because we haven't seen any yet, right? I didn't think the GTS looked great, to be honest, but I didn't think Sting's promo really added anything to this. I'm not sure why it matters if he's at ringside or not. He's not a heel with a history of interfering in matches and things, right? Like,
I guess he wants to emphasize that it's fair?
Yeah, I guess. I thought the segment was mostly good, but to be honest, it doesn't really add any interest in the match for me. I'm curious to see this match, but it's not one of the reasons that I'm going to shell out money for this pay-per-view, which might be different from a lot of people, because I think the draw to see if Punk can still wrestle is a huge draw. For me,
I'll still watch it. I am interested in
for
it.
Sure.
It should be good.
It's a curiosity for me to see it. It's not a major draw, though.
That's fair.
Yep.
I thought it was a fine promo from Punk, but more crowd pander and less good than his last couple of promos, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The 2.0 attack was a nice change of pace, I thought, and them getting taken out was pretty predictable. Sting's promo was meh. And overall, not a great segment, but it was pretty inoffensive.
I thought so, yeah.
Next we get a package for Omega Cage. It's one of the ones where a bunch of people talk about it, basically.
Yeah.
Excalibur talks about how Omega is known as one of the best in the world, if not the best. JR says Omega has remained champ because he's that good. Excalibur says not many people have beaten Omega in AEW, and Cage is one of them. So is Pac, and so is Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
Although, no, actually, Moxley didn't, because that one didn't count.
Right.
Others like White and Tony Schiavone also weigh in.
Yeah, I'm kind of a sucker for these when they're done well, so I really like this. It kind of feels real, right, when other talent are talking, giving their opinions, and they're looking forward to something. So I think that helps add for me, because I kind of like the realism of it. It's just like they're kind of getting caught as fans too and giving their opinions on what's going to happen. So I thought it was really brief, but for me, this type of thing is almost always effective if it's done well, which it was here.
I thought it was a fine little package. Yeah, the style is kind of cool, but it's match I don't really care about. So.
Right, so it's not helping you out, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt, I guess. But yeah, I like the style when they do this.
Yeah. Next we get Tony Schiavone's interview with MJF. Tony puts over MJF as being an awful person.
A disgusting human being or something to that effect, which I thought was a funny way to start an interview. Like,
because he's supposed to be like... I think we can agree Tony's like generally unbiased.
Yes.
And so I like that he's just instantly like...
But I think, and it helps MJF because he's such a heel that like he's objectively just like a disgusting person, and Tony feels obligated to say it because MJF's such a monster heel. So I think that kind of plays into MJF's character, and it's kind of helpful.
Yeah. MJF runs down Jericho's career, going over his nicknames, putting all over all the crap and whatever. MJF says by the time his career is all said and done, he'll take Jericho's place, he'll be better. MJF said Muhammad Ali was the greatest boxer in the world, but he kept coming back for that spotlight. Then his brains became scrambled eggs and he broke his body. And MJF says Jericho is like that because he's on a downward spiral, which
Interesting
I thought
comparison.
that was a good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
MJF said that Jericho needs the spotlight, he craves it, and it's too intoxicating for Jericho to stay away. MJF said that Jericho will do just about anything to get that spotlight back. That's why he's putting his career on the line. MJF said that All Out, he'll end one of the greatest runs in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah, and he had some line that I wrote down I liked about being pro wrestling stepdad. It's like Jericho's the dad, but he's going to be replaced by MJF, who's going to be the stepdad, which I thought, I don't know the exact wording, but it made me chuckle. I mean, this guy is like a master of wrestling promos in his mid-20s, right? Like, this is what WWE is trying to get. A guy that's this young. I know he doesn't quite meet their size requirement, but man, the words, the mannerisms, the facial expressions, he's got it all, and he delivers great stuff almost every time. AEW seems to nail promos lengthwise, I think, too. Like, I rarely am like, man, that dragged on too long, which is a common criticism of main roster WWE stuff. They rarely seem to drag to where you lose focus on it. I thought this was great work by MJF. Again, I'm kind of exhausted on this feud a little bit, but I can't deny that this guy's promos are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was another great promo from MJF. Tony really didn't do anything, but I'm sure that's just MJF taking over. Like, he's just...
I think that, again,
it's
part of his character. Like, he doesn't need anyone to lead the interview. Just let me talk.
I like this comparison of Jericho to Muhammad Ali, and he had some other good lines. I don't think he'll win, but I really hope he does.
We'll have a preview in any other wrestling business, so I'll save my thoughts till then.
Next we get Orange Cassidy versus Jack Evans. Hardy does kind of try to attack Cassidy before the match, and is kind of like sent off.
Right.
It wasn't really much.
No.
For the description, a very short and inconsequential match in a storyline that seems just as pointless.
Yeah, Cassidy's not really... He's kind of spinning his wheels lately, it feels like a bit.
Yeah. Tornado kick to the back by Evans right off the bat. A cartwheel corner back elbow by Evans. Tilt-a-roll DDT for 2 by Cassidy and Michinoku driver for 2. Avalanche German suplex by Evans during the picture-in-picture break. And also during the picture-in-picture break, the finish comes when Cassidy winning with a small package.
Yeah, so the match ends during the commercial. I'm not sure how I feel about it. And I guess they want the show to feel real and that the matches could end at any time. And since then, I have read some news that is exactly the point, that they're trying to say, like, you need to pay attention on the commercial breaks because things could happen. But we know it's not real. And I don't think anyone has an issue with matches not ending during commercials, right? I think maybe they're just
trying... And if it's a big enough match that you want to watch, then you'll watch it through picture-in-picture break.
Like we did in the main event tonight, right? We watched through commercials, which we don't always do, if I'm being honest, just because, I don't know, they tend not to do it. Although AEW does have some action during the commercials, I must say, more than NXT does. So the match itself was fine. I think it's nice to see Jack Evans on TV, getting a bit of offense in on Cassidy. I didn't think it was anything special, and it's hard to talk about because a good chunk of it, including the finish, was during a commercial break, where it's like a fraction of my screen that I can actually see the match on. So I don't love that decision, but I get why they did it.
Yeah. And then post-match, Hardy attacks Cassidy from behind. Best friends come out, get overwhelmed. Jurassic Express come out to make the save. Standard stuff.
More of the stuff I'm immune to at this point on Dynamite.
There wasn't really much to this match other than Jack Evans taking a DDT really good.
He did.
There was nothing really to note in this match. The fact that it ended during a commercial break kind of speaks to that.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's like anything can happen, but, like, you're not going to pick, like, the main event to end on.
If the anything is Jack Evans losing to Orange Cassidy, that's not a surprise. That's not something I'm like, oh, dang, I better go back and check it out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was just, like, kind of like, oh, did it end? And we were like, oh, yeah, it ended on the break.
Yep. They're just I think they're trying to help their sponsors out, right? Like, people keep watching commercials just in case.
So next we get an Eddie Kingston / Miro promo. They're kind of like back to back.
Yep.
Kingston says the DDT is Miro's kryptonite because his neck is his kryptonite, and Kingston will go for it at All Out because they have a match. Kingston says he will go after everything Miro loves, including the TNT title. Kingston says they'll walk through hell together, and after he wins, Miro can go to his God's heaven.
Yeah.
And then Miro gets his turn to speak. Miro says he only stays down for his wife in a hotel after a victory, which was funny.
Yeah.
And then Miro says redemption only comes after agony, which is, I think that's a good line. Like, basically, I'll kick your ass, and then you are redeemed.
Yep.
And then he says, this is the word of the Redeemer, which is kind of a sign-off line.
Yep.
I thought these are great promos from both of them to make me a little more interested in this match that has had, like, a pretty short build.
Yeah, I pretty much love this, too. The take my hand and we'll walk through hell together, and maybe if you survive that, you get to go to your God's heaven. It's such a great way of saying, like, I'm going to kill you, right? Because most people, they don't get quite so eloquent about it. It's just kind of like thinly veiled, I'm going to kill you threats. I thought that was really funny. The Miro line about his wife was funny. Again, like, Kingston's a master of making me more interested in a match, right? And Miro only had a few lines, but like always, he's intimidating, but throws in a funny line as well. So I'm really looking forward to this match as well. And I honestly would pay to see this before the Punk Allen. Not to be a Punk hater, but I'm just trying to let you know my perspective. This match, I'm looking forward to more than that.
Nice. Next, we get a quick Mox thing. But I thought it was a promo, but then it was just
a little hype package,
stuff.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Next, we get JR's in-ring interview with Chris Jericho. Jericho paints the crowd, talks about how he started his main event journey, referring to WWE in Chicago, and JR was the one who recruited him.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. He was talent relations at the time. JR asks why he put on the stipulation, referring to the retirement thing. Jericho calls MJF a piece of shit, but he's calculated and arrogant, and the only thing he has over Jericho is the 3 wins, and that is why Jericho is risking it all. Jericho says when he came to AEW, there's no guarantee that they would succeed, but they're here on the 100th episode of Dynamite, which is a good point. Jericho said he could keep going and have a career, but he would know that he didn't beat MJF, so kind of saying, like, he needs to finally get his win over MJF.
Yep.
Jericho says he has to take the chance and his journey ends, so be it. He says he will thank everyone and go to commentary if it ends. He says MJF will not take it away from him, and MJF will have to be the best he's ever been and break him to win, but he won't because he's Chris Jericho. And he says he'll see MJF at All Out and calls him a prick.
Can we talk about JR for a second at the beginning? He looked awful here.
Was he like sad or
really
like,
weak and almost in tears?
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't tell why, but he just looked.
I have a theory, but I'll save it for when we talk about the preview for All Out because I'm running with this theory. I don't know if I'm right or not, but it may be a bit of going out on a limb. But it honestly was a little bit concerning to me here. He did not look healthy or happy at all. But anyways, I thought Jericho was good. I didn't love his rationale for taking the match, but I know I just praised AEW for keeping their segments the perfect length, but I thought this could have been shorter. The feud's just been going on for so long. We've seen a bunch of matches. I'm not sure we needed this much Jericho in this particular spot. Not that he didn't do a good job. I just found myself wanting it to wrap up kind of before it actually did wrap up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was a good promo from Jericho, but like the MJF one, I didn't really feature JR. This could have been basically the same as just a Jericho promo.
Yeah.
It was good, but I didn't love it as much as the MJF one. I think he'll most likely win because I doubt he'll want to retire.
Yeah.
Not like it'll stick, but.
Right, but it might. They kind of honor stipulations.
Yeah.
In this
but
company
just in
so
general,
far.
That's more of a wrestling thing rather than like.
For sure.
Right. Next, we get a Darby Allin promo. Darby mentions Punk's line about how Darby would have been his favorite wrestler when he was 15. Darby says when he was 15, Punk was his favorite wrestler. So kind of saying like.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool layout of the timeline of things. Yeah.
He says when Punk left, he entered pro wrestling, so kind of another kind of add-on to that.
Right.
Darby says he doesn't like that he's the first on Punk's list because that means he's being overlooked despite Punk knowing what he can do. It means like he's like, I'm already being overlooked despite I'm good, right? Punk says he needs to do the impossible and beat Punk in Chicago or die trying. What did you think?
I thought this was awesome, and again, I don't always think Darby Allin is the greatest
some
talker.
of them have been like he's pretty hit or miss. Like he's had some good ones, but I feel like a lot of them have been like
But the timeline he laid out, right, of like he sort of gets into wrestling when Punk's getting out, and that was cool. I also loved because I never really thought of it, right, but that really makes sense. The fact that you're saying I'm the first one on the list implies that you're overlooking me already.
Right.
Like you're just going to check this one off and move on. So I thought that was a really great point. And just the style of his segments, right, with the black and white and the sound track behind it, I thought it was a really cool. It sets his kind of stuff apart a little bit, right? The style is very different. I thought this was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought this was a really strong promo from him, and I thought he made a good point. It also adds a bit of a grudge to what was otherwise a respectful babyface match.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that kind of.
You're right.
A little more seasoning on it,
Yep.
so to speak. Next we get Brian Cage versus, I'm going to call him Will Hobbs because Powerhouse Hobbs is just dumb.
We get a Hoss fight, man.
Hobbs fight. It's funny to note that the roles are reversed from their first match in terms of heel face because now Hobbs is the Team Taz guy and Cage is not. And last time it was an FTW title match. It was Cage was Team Taz and Hobbs was still actually Will Hobbs.
Right.
In the description, short but solid Hoss fight. Decided thanks to heel interference.
Mm-hmm.
Cage gets an early jump on Hobbs on the ramp. Cage sends Hobbs into the barricade a couple times, and the match officially starts. An elbow drop to the back by Hobbs, a body tackle, corner shoulder blocks, and a headbutt by Hobbs. A nice flatliner by Cage. Kick combo by Cage and an exploder suplex. Corner back elbow and a CCS enziguri followed by a German suplex for 2 by Cage, similar to Samoa Joe. Just sans the German suplex.
Mm-hmm.
Spinebuster by Hobbs for 2. Jumping knee strike and an F5 by Cage. and a deadlift outside in superplex by Cage.
That sequence was pretty nuts. Like an F5, Hobbs is a really big guy. It looked good. And a deadlift suplex outside in looked really good.
Well, and the finish comes while Hook distracts the ref. Hobbs gets out of the drill claw and sends Cage right into a pretty nice belt shot from an interfering Ricky Starks, then falls with his running sit-up power slam. I don't know what they called it.
It looked cool.
For the win.
Is that like is that a Liger bomb? A running Liger bomb?
No, it was a power slam.
Oh, power slam. Sorry, I thought you said power bomb. You're right.
Oh.
They robbed us of a drill claw, which is unfortunate. I haven't seen it in a while. But both of these guys are powerhouses, and I liked kind of the little story there that Cage's advantage is his ability to do other stuff. At least that's how I interpret it, right? Because they both have the power, but Cage also has the speed and the high-flying ability and stuff if he needs it. I kind of felt like this was just getting started when the interference occurred, but I'm sure we're coming back to this, right? So maybe they'll get more time in a bigger spot somewhere. So I enjoyed it while it lasted, especially Brian Cage, because again, he just looks like you sit down to create a wrestler in a video game and you just give him all of the cool high impact moves, right? That's what this guy has. I thought Hobbs looked good too. Specifically think that he is becoming more and more believable as a heel than he initially was. Like he seems like a heel to me now. So I was okay with this, but it kind of stopped before it really got going, I thought.
A short match, but I thought it was good for what it was. Starks got in a pretty good belt shot at the end. There was some cool stuff to be found in the short time they got. I wish it was a little more, but it was overall a nice little TV match.
I thought so, yeah.
Next we go to a promo from Malachi Black. He says he left the ring not because Lee Johnson entered, but because he dictates when they will fight, which
Love that.
I believe was yesterday on Rampage.
Yep.
He says he granted Cody, Arn, and Brock a swift death, but Lee will not be as fortunate. He says he'll put a coin on each of Lee's eyelids, so when he sends him to Hades,
which is basically hell,
okay, he can pay the boatman's toll, which I thought that was a cool line. I like all the, these kind of I don't know if it's philosophical lines or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. It's so unique and the quietly menacing tone he has.
But you still get the point of what he's saying, right? Without
even if you
WWE,
don't have
you're
to,
what? What did he just
You don't have to understand what it actually is, but you understand what his point is, right? He's gonna kill Lee Johnson, basically.
And I think this was a thing in a popular movie when I was a teenager, was Boondock Saints, where you put the coins on the person's eye as to pay the toll to get them to hell, sort of thing. So that was sort of the reference there.
Yeah, but I thought this was good.
Oh, me too. I really like this. And it's been a while since a really dark character has been presented so well, I think, minus the eye makeup I don't really like. But I thought this was really good. Short, but awesome. And again, he's speaking in these cool ways, but you still know what he's saying and who it's directed at, whereas that's what was missing in WWE.
And we already mentioned this, but it's so amazing how much better he is.
Yep.
It's so weird.
Yep, give the guy input, don't make it ridiculous, and he's fantastic.
Remember when he got repackaged with the Tales of the Dark Father? I had no freaking clue what that was about. And this, even when he's using these weird metaphors about hell and whatever, you get what he's saying. It's so weird.
That is 100% the difference.
It is cool to see him as a heel, because I'm used to him as a face. That's what he was even in NXT when he didn't talk and whatever.
And it's nice to feel right, because we both thought just get this guy somewhere else and he's going to be a star, right? And we're right, he is for sure.
And I remember he was going to do a promo on NXT. You're worried about he wouldn't sound good,
right?
And look at him now.
He's amazing, right? And this is and I know this is a stretch for people and they might freak out, but this is your dark sort of Undertaker-y character that you can use for a very, very long time, right? And WWE just missed the boat on it.
The best part is it's not even supernatural either. Undertaker got into that a bit, right?
Yes. For sure.
But this it's just he's almost goth or something.
Yeah, it's awesome. I loved it.
Next we get well, we kind of fall off a cliff now.
As you like to say, from strength to weakness sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
QT calls out Paul White for a face-to-face. It'd be more like a face to abdominal region. And
somehow QT found even bigger jobbers that I couldn't even recognize to join his group. But they're in factory t-shirts, so we know they're part of the group.
What's worse, this or Diamond Mine's jobber-looking dudes?
Ooh, that's tough. I'd have to go back. It feels very similar, to be honest.
I feel like some of the guys they'd be. I think they look like I don't know. So
have these guys been in the background of anything? At least the Diamond Mine guys, because you picked up on it, right? The security dudes.
But those guys don't look like they fit. These guys look. So, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But it's very similar, which I think that's kind of funny.
Comparing things that aren't super good to me, or effective, or useful, even, really, I guess. But anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Paul White comes out. Shocker. It was funny. My brother was sitting on the couch, right? And part of it seems like it's a little different, but it's supposed to be kind of an homage.
Yeah.
It seems like the whale. It's got that. He's like Big Show, and then he was like, oh, it's actually Big Show.
Yeah.
It was.
Yep.
QT sends his goons to corner White. And it's that thing they've done a million times in like a battle royal or whatever, where everyone's like just piling on the guy in the corner and then he pushes out. Like,
so annoying.
That he'd probably push them back, but it's just like it's always over exaggerated.
Oh, they all
like every
it's
time.
like bowling pins, right? Like you just launched a bowling ball into the 10 pins and they just go flying and fall over. Yeah.
Right.
It's a bit
not
ridiculous.
Like they just knock over. It's like no, they go flying.
Yes.
Right. White clears house after, just beats on everyone, and poor Aaron Solo he literally dives away and like just gets hit, like hardly does anything.
Yep.
Like because he's big, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Gun Club run out to even the odds, even though literally Paul White just kicked everyone's ass. Like, does
I didn't
really
understand the gun club coming out
until
sort of
I guess. QT goes up with a steel chair, which Billy Gunn takes from him, and he uses that to hit White in the hip in the most pointless heel turn I've ever witnessed in recent memory. And then he hits him again in the head, and then QT hits a diamond cutter on White. Would you like to go first, sir?
I love AEW, but this felt like a combination of WWE and WCW kind of at their worst. So WWE in the sense that it's like, hey, he's really, really, really big. So even if he's really old, he's still better than a whole bunch of young guys, right? Like,
yeah.
Then it's WCW with the swerve that nobody asked for or really cared about just for the sake of it.
Yeah,
that
like,
wasn't,
who cares? It's Gun Club.
That wasn't built to at all or anything. So this to me is a dark or elevation storyline that somehow's on to Dynamite. The turn of the Gun Club meant nothing because that group is an afterthought as well. So these are the rare segments where I feel WWE is wasting my time a little bit, and it almost never happens, and this is my favorite company for sure. So I'm not that upset because they give me such quality stuff, but they could fill this spot.
That almost makes this more annoying.
They could fill this spot with virtually anything else and anyone else on their roster, and I would be happier. No one involved in this, in my opinion, needs time on Dynamite or on a pay-per-view. So this match better be real quick at All Out.
Right.
Go ahead.
This was lame. There's no substance to it. There's nothing important. It was just a meaningless ball for a meaningless match. You could say, oh, there's the Gun Club turn. I guess it was somewhat surprising, but who cares? It was like, it's so utterly pointless that even though it was a little surprising, like, who cares?
A surprise nobody wanted. It can still be a surprise, but it's not like we wanted it.
A surprise for the sake of something,
I guess.
Like, and it does not belong on Dynamite. It doesn't feel like it belongs on Dynamite. It doesn't feel like something AEW would come up with.
I guess the silver lining is if he's going to dominate 1,000 people, it at least is these guys that nobody cares about and don't really have a standing.
I care about Aaron Solo.
But anyways, I know you do, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Next we get an interview with Britt Baker with Jamie Hayter and Reba. Baker announces that Hayter and Reba are in the Battle Royal, and if Hayter or Reba wins, and then she's like
corrects herself,
and she says just Hayter, and
it was funny.
Then like she's like, oh, she wouldn't challenge me, right? Like,
yeah, that they're not going to challenge her if they win because they're her lackeys.
Which I feel like that's almost like asking for it.
Asking for a swerve, brother?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Swerve for a sake of swerve.
I thought the jab at Rebel was funny. Yeah. I think also like her looking past Statlander's a classic heel move, right? So
Baker shrugs off Statlander and says they just signed a huge star to a long-term contract, and she's like, it's me.
And it's true that I was going to put that in news. She did redo her contract, I think, to get it even longer and probably
good for
more
her.
money. Yeah, absolutely. She
Keep
deserves
her
it.
There.
She's carrying that division, right? That entire division right
now. Maybe Adam Cole negotiated his contract at the same time.
Maybe that was part of his, I'll come to you for this long, but you need to extend. I don't think he would, but because she'd earn this on her own. She doesn't need Adam Cole at this point. She may have in the beginning, but now she's a huge deal, man.
No, they should do a power couple thing.
They could.
because I like them both very much.
Yep, put him as a heel then too, which I would appreciate.
Yes, well, no, Adam Cole should never, ever, ever be a babyface ever.
Well, at some point he probably has to be. I don't know. I like this. I thought funny line, looking past Statlander's classic.
Yeah, and then she also, at the end, she announces a handicap match for Rampage.
Oh, right.
Them against, well, not her, but Reba and Hayter against Statlander.
Right. I don't really want to see Rebel in the ring much, but she'll just do some comedy stuff in an environment
and
where there's other people. And I think she'll be fine
in a battle royal.
Yeah,
right?
that's
what
kind
I'm
of
thinking
a
spot
too.
To keep her.
So I thought this was fine. We'll see where it leads.
Yeah, I thought it was a fine promo from Baker. The roast on Reba was good, but other than that, nothing super interesting.
No, it wasn't huge. It was pretty brief.
Next we get Ty Conti versus Penelope Ford.
Great to see Conti back.
Yeah, who's now aligned with Bunny after Conti was like, nah. You know?
Yep, so Conti is one of my, most improved in the recent, the most pandemic improvement, I guess, because she's really good. You say
that, I'll put her in the...
Oh, in most improved category?
Yeah, because that's good. Because we are trying to start work on that, so that more so you
for our best of worst of for next year.
More so that you can remember.
Yep.
Or you remember to put people in.
I would put Gonzalez in that category as well.
Okay, hold on, I will add them
But
momentarily.
Go ahead.
So yeah, basically I was just saying Bunny's now aligned with her. I think it's more so I don't think Ford is in HFO. I think it's more like a battle royal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess the aftermath kind of explains it as well. So
yeah, I think
we'll talk about that. Solid women's TV match. I thought that picked up after the rocky start.
Oh my goodness.
It started really slow. There's some judo throws by Conti, and then there was she was trying to do some technical wrestling, but just didn't work. It was disjointed.
It really was.
Uncoordinated.
They seemed kind of out of sync for sure.
Yeah, out of sync. That's what he said. That's what
Conti was trying to do something, and Ford didn't seem to be on the same. I don't know who to blame, right? But it looked slow and awkward.
Right. And also in that, that kind of sequence, there was so Conti kind of has Ford trapped in a inverted front face lock, kind of scorpion death drop position. Then
she kept repositioning
keeps hitting
Ford's
her in the
arm
throat.
too for a bit.
Yeah, and then she hits a shy backbreaker. It looked like the Orton backbreaker.
Yeah.
Or she uses her own back.
Right.
Which is
she did.
Ironic.
Double backbreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
A swinging gut buster by Conti. Pump kick by Conti for 2.
Her pump kicks look good.
Yeah, Ford trips Conti on the top rope. She comes down gut first. Springboard crossbody by Conti. A cool swinging slam for a near fall. Cross-legged trap, last chancery by Ford, which they call the Muda lock, I believe.
Yes.
But it's she does the last chancery, but with the cross-leg trap. Conti counters into a calf crusher kind of move, but Ford gets the rope break. 3 corner pump kicks by Conti. A fireman's carry double knee gut buster by Ford
that
for
looked
2.
Cool.
Yeah. Bunny tries to interfere at the end. Conti sends Ford into Bunny and then rolls up Ford for the win. And after the match, the heels gang up on her, but then Anna Jay makes her turn.
Yep.
Yay!
That was cool to see her come back as well. So yeah, things got a bit better as this went along. The finish was really telegraphed because she had to sort of stand with her back to the ring for a bit longer than I think I would have liked. So I didn't love the finish. Wasn't the ideal return match for Conti, I don't think. She's looked much better than this in the past. Could be ring rest, maybe lack of chemistry with Ford. Whatever it was, I didn't think it was great. It did get better, and there were some cool moves in there, but the beginning little bit really threw me off, and then I didn't like the finish either. But I do have faith that Conti will be a lot better than this going forward, and I thought it was nice to see Anna Jay back healthy as well, too.
For sure. Overall, this match was fine. It didn't start off great, but they got a hold of it once.
The crowd seemed to like it, right?
Yeah.
So
the return of Anna Jay is pretty cool because she seems good. That'll be a good addition to Battle Royal. I think that's a legitimate contender for winner.
Yep.
Along with Conti.
Yep.
More on that later.
Yes.
Next we get a Thunder Rosa interview. Not really. Rosa is interrupted by Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill, who seem to have formed a Battle Royal alliance, perhaps.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that would be smart.
Yeah.
If they did.
They are big.
They are big. And
Rosa says she's not intimidated. If she's going down, she'll go down swinging. What if they were going to approach her to join the alliance and she's just stupid?
I doubt it, but she's probably right to be fairly suspicious.
No, I would have tried to join the alliance.
Right.
A brawl breaks out with Cargill and Rose being on Rosa until they almost get into it, but then Sterling kind of says, oh, there's more money on Sunday because that's what he's all about. Whoops. and they shouldn't waste it now, and Vicky agrees. That's the only thing that you said that's made sense.
Yeah, I didn't love this. I thought Thunder Rosa looked kind of silly because it was not a major beatdown at all, but she's lying on the floor. You can still see her as they're sort of carrying on a conversation in front of her. So I didn't think it made her look super strong. I didn't think it was great, but again, this was just a very short segment, so it didn't bother me too much.
Yeah, this wasn't great, but it was pretty inoffensive just for the time length.
Yep.
We get some all-out advertisement stuff like White, QT, the Lucha Bros Bucks, which I'm so excited for. That's going to be so good. Jericho MJF, which, speaking of, we got a quick package for that. Similarly, Omega Cage, we got people weighing in and whatnot. JR Shivani kind of just speak on the rivalry, talk about like when these guys arrived in AEW. And Paul White talks about how the Labors pushed Jericho to the limit. And Taz says MJF kept Jericho on his toes. And then White's like, I'm worried. And I'm like, okay. This was fine, but with 2 segments for this feud already, I don't really need this.
2 segments plus months of interactions and matches, right?
Right.
So again, this is the type of stuff I normally like, and it was pretty cool, but normally it builds some hype for the match, but we've seen them do so much together and have multiple matches. The drama's sort of not... It's kind of lost on me at this point. I'm not buying into the drama. But again, this was really quick as well. So didn't love it, but it was only a few seconds, so I can get past it pretty easily.
Next, we get to our big fat main event. We have the Elite represented by the Bucks and the Good Brothers, the tag team champions of 2 different promotions.
Right.
Versus the Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express. 3 of them wear masks. 1 of them is a dinosaur.
Very interested in this main event minus Gallows, obviously, but that you know that if you listen to this show.
I'm just watching their entrance. Nick Jackson's just so good at being an obnoxious turd fart. He's just mouthing along to the theme. It's just he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
I think the Bucks are killing it, but I think he's the superior Buck in general.
I would say so. Although I'm enjoying, I was telling you, Matt's character work right now.
Matt was doing really good when he was doing the hot tag, that was funny.
Yep.
And I've been noticing in the entrances lately that Nick has been just like, since they've been using the Elite theme, he's just so annoying. It's great.
Yep. It's crazy how good a heels and baby faces they can be, if whatever you need them to be, right?
Yep.
And I don't want to like them. I say that all the time, but can't help it.
You like them.
Yeah, they're...
This was a frenzied and action-packed main event with tastes of an exciting match at the upcoming pay-per-view.
Right. That they just gave you enough of that in this, I thought, right?
To want it even more.
See it more.
I would give them my money just to watch that match.
Yep.
The one match. If they put on a pay-per-view with that one match, I would still buy it.
Well, you would tell me to buy it.
I would buy it.
Oh, you would spend your own money. Whoa. Okay, that's big time.
I would first get you to buy it, and then you said, I'm not going to buy it. I'd say, well, go to your room, and then I would say I would watch it by myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that would happen.
I was kind of laughing because the match starts with Luchasaurus and Gallows.
Yay, the big fellas.
The dinosaur versus the man who moves like a dinosaur.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Can't disagree.
Corner punches and body blows by Gallows. Suplex by Luchasaurus to Gallows. And like an actual suplex.
I was kind of joking, but kind of not. Like, wow, that's a big bump for
he
Gallows
actually
to
did
take.
It.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's like he's just a lazy sack or like he can't.
He's really big. He's had a long career where you just beat the hell out of your body, so I'm sure it is very hard for him to do these things.
And he used to be fat, remember?
And I think there's a bit of laziness, and I think in Impact it's just like, I don't have to. What are you guys going to do?
Right. And he did used to be fat, remember Festus?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Festus.
And he was with Jesse. I feel like he's someone.
Jesse and Festus. Jesse was actually a very good wrestler, too. Yeah.
Well, isn't he someone's kid?
I think so. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I know, but I can't remember.
Look it up when I'm doing Impact.
Phoenix and Nick go back and forth. That's what we all want. That's the best part. Until they both tag in their respective brothers. And I just thought, like, the match is going to be so interesting because that's tornado tag, right?
Yes.
Although I guess, like, they already did the ladder match. But, like, I think the tornado tag is going to be so
It's going to be madness. I can't wait.
Then the heels take control when the Good Brothers get cheap shots in after a standoff between the Lucha Bros and the Bucks. And then brawl kind of breaks out a bit. Anderson sends Jungle Boy into the barricade, who rebounds and hits a lariat. Jungle Boy takes on everyone and is able to make a tag to Phoenix, who gets a great flurry and just so awesome. He's just kicking everyone. Kicks galore between the Lucha Bros and the Bucks.
So many kicks.
Like, so good. Corner shots and a German suplex to Anderson by Luchasaurus. Good stuff. Luchasaurus launches Jungle Boy off his back on the Elite in this twisting dive. Oh, that was so cool.
Really good.
Chokeslam and a standing moonsault for 2 by Luchasaurus, which that's his standard stuff, but it's still cool.
Yep.
It's always cool. Matt distracts the ref so Cutler can cold spray Phoenix to prevent their finisher, and then Phoenix gets hit with the Magic Killer for 2. But Luchasaurus did break the pin, which made me really sad because we almost got the version of the Lucha Bros driver that I like.
And I was like, out of all the people in this match, it better not be the Good Brothers winning with their finisher. I would have been annoyed. So I'm glad it wasn't your fault.
I was like, no, get there. And I saw Luchasaurus. I was like,
Thank you.
I was actually like, oh,
exactly.
Yes. Phoenix ducks a BT trigger, and it sounded pretty nice. They hit each other's knees, and he hits like a double cutter off of a handspring, a handspring double cutter. Oh, that was awesome.
Yep.
The Bucks catch a springboard crossbody from Phoenix. Don't know why you would crossbody onto 2 people, but hey. And they hit a really good Meltzer driver. They nailed him.
It looked good.
For the win, which is good because I feel like they haven't used that as of late, so I like them busting that out one more time. What a match that was. Post-match, Omega comes out, and he dyed his hair black. It's like, I don't know, I feel like the mustaches and Nick's hair, that's all, good, bad.
They've gone too far now.
I think they've gone too far. It's almost like, remember when Cody dyed his hair black last year? Just, this looks unnatural, just on a next level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know. It doesn't look great. I feel like it might have blue highlights. It's just not good. I think that might be a little too, actually bad.
They've jumped the shark, as they say.
Yes.
Do you know what that reference is from?
No.
Happy Days. It's a show where the Fonz was the cool guy, and he literally jumps a shark on the motorcycle, and that's basically where people were done with that series because it was ridiculous. So that became a common phrase. Jump the shark
that
means
makes sense.
It finally went too far, sort of thing.
The Elite continue to beat on the faces. Luchasaurus gets hit with a Magic Killer through a table. Gallows, it's like he was like,
it wasn't a super
I don't
violent...
want to actually take a back bump, but I don't want to look stupid either.
And it wasn't a super violent looking. It just they kind of almost
they just
gently
dropped
Luchasaurus through the table. Yeah.
I mean, it was a table though, so.
Yeah, it was.
Cage comes out and spears Omega, but gets beat down by the Elite. Suck it, Christian. That's what you get for getting involved in this feud. Should have left it to Hangman, loser.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman would have taken them all out. He would have literally he would have jumped over the ropes for the buckshot, right? And then all of a sudden his arm's super big, so he could clothesline them all. That's what would have happened. For
sure.
The Elite now have kendo sticks, as Omega says Cage fell into their trap. Omega says Tony Khan should be more careful where he leaves his things. And he says he knows Callis has the Cage keys and says to bring it down. Ooh, Cage preview.
Wow.
Ooh.
At least, my thing was with the aftermath, this made it feel a little bit different.
That's what I was thinking, right? It's
rundown.
At least something different, right? The Elite beat on Cage and Lucha Bros in the cage. The Jurassic Express are locked out. Kaz and Dante Martin. I think their cage doesn't have a door.
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure, because I feel like I would have seen it. Because usually the door is on the hard camera side.
It is.
Right? But I don't think I saw that. Kaz and Dante Martin, among others, try to get in, but they can't, which, I'll talk about that later. Nick handcuffs Penta and super kicks him a bunch. Phoenix is also cuffed, just FYI. Cage gets hit with a triple BTE trigger, which is Omega and the Bucks. What did you think?
I thought the match itself was pretty awesome, and I know people are going to complain that it was a spot fest and that the referee didn't have control, but I honestly couldn't care less because both of us are literally gasping and laughing in amazement at some of the stuff we saw, right?
It was so good.
At that point, I don't care how realistic some of those things are. This is what a lot of what wrestling is about for me, just a bunch of talented guys executing crazy looking stuff that I could never imagine doing at a furious pace, with all of it being basically clean. My only complaint is this could have been even a few minutes longer. It did give us a taste of what we're going to see in the cage match. I already couldn't wait for it, but again, it's just we're going to get a full match of these guys doing this. The aftermath is kind of more of the same, but the cage did make it feel a little bit different, I guess. And I thought Tony had a nice line. He said something like, what will keep the Elite out on Sunday is keeping the Elite in right now. So if it were me, I would have shortened the aftermath significantly and added that time to the match. But still, I can't say too much. It was an excellent main event, I thought.
Yeah. It was an awesome main event. Gallows' use was pretty limited, which is smart.
It was.
And it was enjoyable, and there were some awesome sequences, particularly when it involved the Bucks and Lucha bros, which is no coincidence. The aftermath I actually like because I like them taking advantage of the cage, and this was also a great way to demonstrate that the cage is actually effective in keeping people out.
Right.
Granted, the Elite had extra people to kind of enforce that, but nonetheless, it kind of worked, right? So you can kind of point to this, like, see, it's keeping them out. Like
Cutler cold spraying Marco down.
That was
stuff.
funny. He was like cold spraying everybody.
Yeah.
Overall, a great end to the show, I thought. And what'd you think for the show?
Overall, I enjoyed this go-home episode of Dynamite. I mean, look at the people cutting promos on this show, right? This list. CM Punk, MJF, Eddie Kingston, Miro, Moxley, Jericho, Malachi Black. That is a murderer's row of talkers, right? And as a bonus, not only are they talking, they don't have to follow a script that was approved by an elderly, out-of-touch maniac, right? Or written by him. The QT Paul White stuff was a miss, and I didn't really like the Thunder Rosa beatdown, but everything else pretty much out of the ring I thought was really strong. In ring, not quite as strong. I really liked the opening tag match, and the main event was excellent, but I thought Cage Hobbs felt like cut short to me. Conti Ford had some awkward parts, as we talked about, and Cassidy Evans ended during a commercial break. So to me, it was pretty easy. I went with a B+. Close to an A range, but not quite enough in-ring quality to get it up to that level, but really enjoyed a lot of it, so I gave it a B+ this week.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The opener was a perfect choice and a great match, I thought. 2.0 and Punk promos were both fine. I thought MJF cut another customarily good promo. Cassidy and Evans was fine, but really short, and the ending tells you how important it was.
Right.
Kingston Miro the promo segment was really strong. I really liked that. Jericho's promo was fine, but not exactly for me, I guess. Darby's promo was really good, which he, like we said, he's been kind of hit or miss, so it's really good to see him, like,
I think in the pre-produced
really
things, he's generally pretty good. It's live that I worry.
Yeah. Or even, like, some of them when he started, like, talking more with Sting. So remember you used to do, like, the silent vignettes, and
right.
Those are cool.
Yep.
Cage vs. Hobbs was a good Hoss fight. Doesn't really top their first match, though, because I remember liking that better, I think. Malachi Black cut another good promo. The factory crap was dumb. It sucked butt.
Can confirm.
Conti Ford started off bad, but pulled itself up. Pooed itself up. And the main event was great and a very enjoyable end to the show. And it's just really nice when you get a good opener and a good main event. Just, I don't know. That's a good...
Yeah, you bookend the show, and I'm generally happy, right?
Yep.
I agree. That's
overall, pretty solid go-home show. I agree, not quite in the A range, so I'll give it a B+.
Nice. We agree. Lovely. All right, well, that's going to send us into our next section where we talk about some other stuff from the world of wrestling, and we like to call it Any Other Wrestling Business.
Right, and I'm thinking we keep the AEW train going. We'll preview All Out, which will replace our Rewind match for this week,
right?
Just to save a bit of time for everyone. But we will be sure to return it next week.
Yep.
For those couple of people, I guess, who probably maybe care about it. You know?
So let's talk about All Out a bit.
Yeah. So first off, let's put our picks for the Women's Casino Battle Royale.
Sure.
Just offhand, some of the people I know are in it. Conti.
I have a list.
Bunny. Oh, you want to go then?
Sure. So I think it was as of yesterday or a couple days ago.
Okay.
Riho, Anna Jay.
Oh, Riho, gross.
Kiera Hogan, Jade Cargill.
Oh, nice.
Abaddon, Kylan
nice.
King. Layla Hirsch, who had a really good showing at Empower. I watched the second half of that show, and she looked good against Camille. Nyla Rose, Julia Hart, which I saw. I'll keep going. Big Swole, Bunny, Red Velvet, Thunder Rosa, Tay Conti, Penelope Ford, Diamante, Rebel, Jamie Hayter, Emi Sakura, and Hikaru Shida.
There's a mystery woman as well, right?
There is mystery people, I think, because I don't know how many
could it be?
I wonder. Do you want to say who you are taking first?
Yes. I have gone with Tay Conti. Ty Conti. Because I've seen a lot of people picking Ruby Riott to win this, right? Or Ruby Soho, as
Correct.
I believe she will be known.
It's kind of assumed that she's coming.
But I don't know for sure if she's in the match. And I think Conti's really improved. I think I did put her in our most improved because I think she deserves
I agree.
to be in that category.
Me too.
And she would have a great feud with Baker, although I don't think she should win yet. But she definitely deserves to get throw her name in the hat in the title picture for once, you know? So I'm going to go with her.
That's too bad. I took Conti as well. Because I think they need a baby face, and she is capable of a very good match with Britt Baker. So eventually, I think we can agree the money matches. We got to get back to Baker Rosa at some point.
Yep.
Because right now I see her as the only real threat to Baker, but it's a bit too soon for that, right? And I think Conti is a decent like placeholder. I don't mean that insulting because
I think
most
when
people
she
would kill
improves
to get
more, because I think there's,
Yeah.
despite her great improvement, there's still a little more
Yep.
ways to go.
And I think it could be Ruby Soho, but again, like you're saying, we don't even know that she's in the match, so I'm gonna play the odds and take somebody in the match that I think has a shot. So I take.
And plus, I think like you can't just like pick like a mystery person or whatever, right?
Kind of boring, but I agree with you.
So next we have this is the other match for the buy-in. The Battle Royal is on the buy-in, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know.
Which is on YouTube, is that right?
I believe so,
Yeah,
so
I think
we can
so
watch
too.
that.
Yep.
Jurassic Express and Best Friends versus HFO, which I think is probably Hardy, Private Party, and TH2, I want to say.
Right.
So TH2.
That's nice. Get some Angelico.
I picked Jurassic Express and Best Friends because nobody cares about HFO.
100% agree. It's just a matter of looking at the way they're placed in AEW, and I don't imagine that HFO are winning. So I will, unfortunately, not making for interesting picks, but I have to agree with you.
Yep. So next we got Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's World Championship. I took Britt Baker because as good as Statlander is, she just doesn't feel like the one to take it off Baker. She just doesn't feel like a big threat. I think they should build someone up to it, like maybe Conti later down the line. Like I feel like she could get her first shot in now, so like they have some sort of history, and then once she's better, she can go like make an actual play for it, you know.
Yep.
And I don't think Baker should have her run ended yet. I think she deserves a much longer run.
I agree on this one too. I took Baker. I really hope Statlander has a good showing and that the match is good, but there's no way Statlander's winning this, so it's Britt Baker all the way.
Next, the match we're probably looking forward to the most, QT Marshall versus Paul White.
Absolutely.
I picked Paul White, and I'll tell you why in 3 words, because he's big.
You don't think this is the main event? Just kidding, people. I don't want anyone to think I'm serious about that.
I picked him because he's big.
Paul White wins this match. Sorry, Paul White wins his last match. Hopefully, is what I'm putting.
Your first match will also be your last match.
It literally doesn't matter what happens to QT Marshall, and I'm not even trying to be mean. It just doesn't. So he takes a very quick AEW,
2 minutes max,
very decisive loss. Paul White wins.
Yep. Next we have CM Punk versus Darby Allin. I took CM Punk. It's his return match that everyone's been waiting for 7 years, and it's in his hometown. The argument can be made that Darby is a rising star who shouldn't lose to an older returning star, but I saw a good point when I was reading on What Culture's website.
Right.
So shout out to What Culture.
Yep.
Darby beating Punk would actually kind of hurt him because people have been waiting for Punk for so long.
100%.
And Darby would just get hated on so much if he defeated like basically their hero. Like
there's no chance.
It's gonna hurt him, right?
I don't think.
So. And Darby can take this loss and be built back up easily, right? They know what they're doing. And Punk should win his big return.
CM Punk's not losing his debut match, I don't think. I don't know if there's a universe where that happens. And I don't think a loss to CM Punk hurts Darby Allin at all. So
and especially because he'll probably look good.
Yeah, it's got to be Punk.
Yep. Next, we move on to the TNT Championship match. Miro, Eddie Kingston. I took Miro.
Yes.
Kingston's got to put up a good fight because this should be good. Aside from Lance Archer, this is Miro's only like really legitimate challenger, but I still think Miro will retain.
I am really looking forward to this match. I am also taking Miro. I can see Eddie just generating massive amounts of sympathy from the crowd, right? As Miro beats the hell out of them for the majority of this, I imagine. And I'm sure he'll get a few spots, hope spots or whatever you want to call them, but I think Miro wins, and I think it'll be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. Next, Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. I picked Mox. If it was a different and younger New Japan star, then I would pick them, but nobody benefits from Kojima winning. He doesn't need to win, so it should be Mox.
So this is where I'm going out on a limb because I thought we would have a ton of similar picks, so I'm least confident about this one, but I think there's a chance that out of respect, and since some fans may not be familiar with Kojima at all, Mox may put him over. So it's a stretch for sure, but I'm gonna take Kojima. I feel like a loss to him won't hurt Mox that much because he's not currently in any hunt for any titles or anything, or any even storyline where wins and losses matter. So I think there's a chance that just out of respect to Kojima, he's willing to lose. Not confident, but I'll take Kojima for the sake of interesting conversation.
Interesting.
Right.
Chris Jericho versus MJF is next. Jericho will retire if he loses. I went with Jericho because this is actually hard to pick. Because on one hand you could easily say it's a retirement stipulation. It's obvious he's not retiring yet, so he's gonna win.
Right.
But on the other hand, you could say wrestling retirements never stick, and Jericho can just come back after a period away, which could probably happen.
Or they can stip their way back out of it too, right?
Right.
Somebody else represents him and wins him his job back. Like, there's ways to do it.
Right, yeah. But AEW is different because they stick to their stipulations. That you made that point.
They do.
Like, Cody Rhodes has not challenged for the world title since full year 2019.
Right.
That's because of that stipulation that was put in place.
Right.
Which he has held himself to, so credit for that.
Yep.
For that reason, I think Jericho will finally get his win and continue the last stretch of his career. Plus, I think MJF's won enough. I think he'll be fine if he loses. Obviously, it would be pretty cool if he wins, but I think he'll be fine either way.
So I'm going out on a limb on this one too, again, because I figured so many matches on here are clear. So on the ones that aren't clear, I'm going sort of outside the box. I'm saying MJF wins.
I was close to picking MJF. I hope you're right, honestly.
So my plan is, and this is why I'm going back to JR, sort of looking upset and whatever, went during the talking to Jericho. Jericho loses, transitions to commentary. JR leaves commentary for a lesser role. My preference, as I've said before, would be him doing sit-down interviews, maybe the odd pay-per-view match, big match commentary.
No, that's Marinello.
But that his role becomes much smaller and Jericho starts to transition into his post-in-ring career. I don't think he's done in-ring forever.
That's not bad.
But I think that's... So I'm going to take MJF.
Well,
and I think,
and then if Jericho ever leaves AEW, you could wrestle because...
And it just solidifies MJF as well. Maybe he wins by heel tactics or something debatable, but I'm going to take MJF.
I hope you're right, kind of, because like I do want MJF to win here.
And Jericho on commentary, if he can tone himself down a bit. Like, I don't want the Rampage commentary version of him that was super obnoxious, but
heel commentator.
He's been good in the past.
He could be a good heel commentator,
yep.
Yeah. Next, the match I am actually most excited for. Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks Steel Cage World Tag Titles.
Right.
I'm going with the Lucha Bros. After being freaking incredible and obnoxious heels for most of the year, the Bucks' time has finally come. The Lucha Bros are far overdue for a title shot, let alone a title run. I don't think they've had a title shot since losing in the finals of the inaugural tournament. I think they had one title shot on Dynamite against Omega and Hangman. Mm-hmm. That was like over a year ago, so it's been a while. And now that I think of it, like that's the only one I think. They're incredibly talented and over and way overdue. And the Bucks have no doubt earned themselves a break should they want it. And this is the absolute perfect time for the Lucha Bros. 2 years ago, they had that absolute slapper of a ladder match.
They did.
And they lost. So now it's in a cage and it's their time. And these teams have such great chemistry, so win or lose, it's going to be an incredible match.
Yeah, I am going to agree with you here. I think it's time for the Elite to start losing some gold, and I really can't think of anyone more deserving than Lucha Brothers.
They're so good.
So I'd be fine with the Bucks getting a rematch for the titles as well.
I would like to see them face off in I don't know if we've seen them face off in a normal tag match. They might have at Double or Nothing.
I can't imagine getting tired of watching these guys work together.
That's true.
So if they wanted to do like back in TNA days where it was Beer Money and Motor City Machine Guns did like a best of 5 series.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you ever can go back to find some of those I love those matches.
I would take a best of something out of
super fun
from these people.
So it's not exciting, but I'm agreeing with you taking Lucha Brothers here.
Nice. Main event, presumably.
Yep.
Kenny Omega versus Christian
could argue
Cage.
that you could almost put the tag team match.
You for
as
sure
could,
event. And it's not like they hate tag team wrestling AEW. So.
I feel that match is a little more in doubt as to who's winning, right? So
right, and it would it's just a steel cage,
and it would leave the fans super happy by the end.
But I could see if Bryan debuts, this is going last because I feel like he would probably come out after this. But no, he could come in the middle. That's not true. Okay, so I think. Yeah, I think
I still think this is probably the main event.
The tag titles would totally deserve to. And they're the kind of company where, like, if they need to, they will.
Yep.
Right? Omega Cage. I picked Omega because it's Kenny Omega and because Christian Cage is not Hangman.
I don't think Omega's losing twice in a row to the same person at this point, and I don't think Christian Cage is positioned as, like, if he's the champion of the company, I don't think that really moves the needle at all. So I'm taking Omega. I'm pretty confident in that.
And I think Hangman has to be the one to beat Omega. It can't be anyone else. If Bryan debuts a separate match with Omega, I would still believe Omega should win. I think Omega should always win until he faces Hangman, because if it can't be at All Out, Hangman he needs to do it at some point, because I feel like they have the history, and Hangman, he's a future star for this company, right?
That's a great point, too. So they have to get us to that match.
It has to be him. Yep. I literally can't see any universe where it's not him.
I had forgotten all about that, but that is a very good point. They have to come back to that.
Right.
They have to.
If they don't, then
they will. I'm confident.
That's leaving money on the table.
Right. Okay, so that wraps up our preview of that. So we had a few different picks there, so there is a chance somebody will win, right, in our competition. So now I'm going to take a look at what I thought was a pretty good episode of Impact Wrestling, so let's talk about that. A lot of stuff I enjoyed on this show, I'm pleased to say. So it starts with a black and white photo and a graphic sort of in memory of Daphne that we obviously didn't bring up in the news. But yes, Daphne has passed away, unfortunately, so condolences to anyone involved in that. And everyone, just be aware of mental health concerns and all of that. Seek help if you need it. Get other people help if you think they need it. I've obviously, being an older person, was watching her back in WCW Live, and she had a really cool, dark character that sort of spawned a lot of other people, I think. She was pretty influential in what some other people have done along the way. And in fact, if you said to me that her gimmick's going to be she blood-curdling screams at ringside, I would have thought it was annoying, but somehow it wasn't when she did it. So anyways, a shame that she has passed away. She was only, I think, 2 years older than I am, actually, so that's not cool.
Oof. Well, luckily you're not a pro wrestler.
I am not. Definitely not. We then get a package reminding us that Christian beat Brian Myers at Impact Emergence to retain the title. Tommy Dreamer comes out, asks for a match with Cage. Ace Austin had come out too to make his case, and this has what led to tonight's match in the main event, where if Dreamer can beat Ace Austin, Dreamer will be added to the upcoming title match. So the opening match on this show is a mixed 6-person tag match. You've got the Influence, which is Caleb with a K, Tennille, and Madison Rayne, taking on Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, and Taylor Wilde. So Caleb is still wearing his neck brace, and he now has a bow tie on it, which is funny, and that's
nice.
That goes back to old ECW. Oh my God, what was his name? The quintessential stud muffin is what he called himself. He was like their heel commentator, and he wore a neck brace with a bow tie. If you want to look up his name, I can't remember it, but anyways, Joel Gertner, there it is, came to me in a flash. So Ellering and Grace are back in their matching gear that I always appreciate with tag teams. So Ellering and Caleb start out, and guess what's going to happen, Jack? It's a male facing a female in a match in Impact.
Caleb's gonna low blow her.
Nope. That basically he's gonna get no offense in, of course, as it tends to be in these. There's a double vertical suplex to Caleb by Grayson Ellering, and again, this trend of men hitting virtually no offense against women continues, and Caleb tags out. I don't know why they keep doing this if they're not gonna commit to it. Wilde hits a Hurricane Rana and a really bad penalty kick that I don't think actually made any contact at all. The heels cheat, and they hold on to Caleb so he can't be suplexed, but Jordan Grace takes out the female heels, and it allows Taylor Wilde to hit a German suplex with a bridge to pin Caleb. So this match was really short, and I guess it was fine while it lasted, but Grayson Ellering really didn't get to do much, and that's a shame because I love Jordan Grace's offense specifically. And at this point, I'm really tired of these mixed matches where the men are treated basically like jobbers, right?
Right, so there's no point to do it because it's not really an actual
They're consistently incapable of hitting any offense basically against the women. So I get it. If you're uncomfortable having men hit the women with moves, then stop putting them in the ring together if you don't want to act. And this is a company that had, again, we say it all the time, right? Tessa Blanchard was literally the champion of the company and having competitive matches against men where it was completely believable, and she looked great beating them legitimately. So they have a history of doing this, so I'm not quite sure why they've sort of changed their policy on it. But anyways, we then get a recap of Deonna Purrazzo facing Melina at NWA Empower and ultimately picking up the win. And what I thought, I did see that match. It was probably better than I thought it was because the whole story was that Melina had a pre-existing knee injury and Purrazzo's good enough to target that right in a million different ways before picking up the win. So it was a good match, and I thought Purrazzo looked really good. We then also see Mickie James facing Kylie Ray at the show, which I didn't see. She picked up the win before, I guess, a masked Deonna Purrazzo attacked Mickie James. I'm sure setting up something there in the future. In that show, as I said before, I thought Layla Hirsch looked really good too in her Empower match. So then we get Gia. She's with Deonna now live, congratulates her on winning, asks her about attacking Mickie James. Deonna says it's an ignorant question and says her actions speak for themselves. The Drama King shows up, or he's actually there. So he says that Mickie James thought Deonna couldn't handle Melina on her own, but Deonna proves her wrong. And while Melina needed Trey Miguel's help last week, which is a fair point, they're now focusing on their futures. And Trey Miguel has, what is it, Ray Walt? Am I saying it right?
Ray Walt.
Ray Walt's attention. Deonna says that when they make a promise, they keep it, and they shouldn't cross the king and queen.
You basically got it.
I thought they were both really good here. I enjoy when Deonna is snippy with Gia Miller, since Gia Miller seems like the nicest, most innocent person on the roster, and Deonna like cuts her off and is snotty with her, and I really enjoy it. She's Gia, that is a great vehicle for heel heat for Purrazzo, and Purrazzo's smart enough and good enough to take full advantage. And I haven't fully decided if I like the Drama King and Purrazzo together. I'm going to give it a bit more time, but I don't think Purrazzo needs him, frankly, but we'll see. So Dreamer's backstage saying that history's come full circle, and a while ago Christian was in a match with Jack Swagger and Dreamer where Dreamer became Impact champion. Cage walks up
Dreamer became ECW champion?
And he wants to and he wants to remind Dreamer that he didn't pin Christian in that match. And Dreamer then sort of adds, kind of because they're friends, right, that he's actually never pinned Christian. So Cage says, in all seriousness, he could crack a joke, but it's not his style. I forget what the joke was, but it's one of those where he actually says it, you know what I mean? Like, I could say blah, blah, blah about you, but I would never say that. So That's actually what he did. I forget what the insult was. It almost felt a tiny bit heelish, to be honest. So he hopes that Tommy does win to get added to the match, because it would be an honor to be in the ring with him, and he'll be watching Dreamer's match tonight. Dreamer says, that's great that you're watching it, but I need to do this by myself. Please don't come down to the ring no matter what. So it's going to be Dreamer one-on-one with Austin with no help from Christian Cage. I thought this segment was pretty good. These guys do have good chemistry together. I think they are friends in real life. They sounded natural and realistic, which is generally my favorite type of wrestling stuff, although there's something coming up that's not super realistic that I really enjoyed in the show, so it's not all of the time, but in general I like the realism in my wrestling. We then get Decay taking on Fallah Bahh and No Way. So I've talked about the crowds before with Impact feeling kind of like a house show, and it definitely was more of that today, or in this episode, I guess. So No Way comes out with his conga line of characters, and one of them, unbeknownst to us, is Tasha Steelz in disguise. So she gets in the ring and takes out Rosemary, reveals that it is her. And so Rosemary then chases Tasha up the ramp right into an ambush from Savannah Evans. And then basically Rosemary and Havoc chase the heel women out into the back. So they're kind of gone here. So the finish to this match comes when Black Taurus takes out No Way, and Steve is sort of biting Fallah Bahh, and then Steve hits his jumping DDT from the corner for the win. I didn't think this match was good at all. You know I love Black Taurus, and he barely got to do any of his cool-looking offense. And No Way and Fallah Bahh don't have any cool offense and are mostly there for comedy. But thankfully, what kept me entertained in this match was the crowd, because they had no interest in seeing Fallah Bahh and No Way, and neither did I. So they were cheering and chanting for Decay, even though they're not supposed to. And they were booing Fallah Bahh and No Way relentlessly. So that kept me entertained. Also, Matt Stryker was like tripping all over himself trying to explain this unique phenomenon. And it was pretty funny to me. Gia is then talking to W. Morrissey backstage. She asks him about Sami Callihan saving Eddie Edwards by hitting Morrissey with a bat. Morrissey says Callihan made a big mistake, but Morrissey does have a tiny amount of respect for Eddie and Sami, because in a company where everyone likes each other, they actually admit that they hate each other. But that honesty in saying all that won't get them very far. And then Moose interrupts, and the two are almost now standing nose to nose. The two are the biggest guys in this company, Moose and Morrissey. Moose says in his very slow promo style, deliberate, that he agrees with everything Morrissey's been saying. There are no friends, and he'll stab people in the back when he gets a chance, and he knows that Morrissey would too, as Morrissey is sort of acknowledging that's true. They both have issues with Sami and Eddie, and Moose doesn't want a friend, but he does want an alliance, and that's where this ends. I really like the idea of these two together. They both sounded good here. And I still like Morrissey's character. I've heard people complain about it, but this idea that he's a veteran, right, who was abandoned by everybody, fans and other wrestlers and friends when his career fell apart, it still kind of works for me. So I like this. We then get another Macklin promo, and he says he doesn't know what he has to do to get through to Petey Williams. He guesses the beating he gave Petey at Emergence wasn't enough. He then says Petey calls himself the Canadian Destroyer, but he doesn't know anything about destruction or what Macklin is capable of. He picks up the intensity at the end of this and says next week it's the two of them and mayhem for all. And I have to admit, I mean, you're going to hear me sort of love a lot of segments on this show. I really like this one as well.
Yeah, you're telling me, like, when you're, like, halfway watching it or whatever, like, that most of the promos were good?
I really liked it, yeah. I don't remember him being this good in WWE, but I imagine...
He was mostly a jobber, a handsome talent, and then a sideman for Forgotten Sons.
And that's what I'm saying. He never really got a chance to speak, and when he did, it was WWE scripted drivel that they get, right? So I've been impressed with his he's doing this badass character. In and out of the ring, I've sort of liked him, actually, and I didn't really think I would, so that's always my favorite when somebody outperforms my expectations. So I think he's a really good fit for Impact. Moose then comes down to the ring. He has a microphone, and he says that what pisses him off is that everyone in this era of wrestling wants to be a hero. What also pisses him off is that Eddie Edwards wants to be a hero to all of the imbecile fans, and of course the fans on cue start chanting for Eddie Edwards here. Moose says that being a hero just got Eddie a date with the devil, and he knows he and Eddie have a long history, but he's not the same guy. He's different, he's worse, he's a monster. No, he's a wrestling god. He demands Eddie come out so he can show him how the hero doesn't always save the day. Eddie comes out with Kenny, his kendo stick, slides into the ring swinging right away, but Moose catches the kendo stick. They start to brawl. Eddie eventually does get kendo stick shots in before Morrissey shows up and sort of hard Irish whips Eddie into a Moose spear, and then Morrissey picks him up, hits an assisted power bomb, and the heels are sort of standing tall in the ring, and I think they look great together. I thought that this was good too. It makes Eddie really sympathetic as the babyface here, getting killed by these two monsters, and I hope they run with Moose and Morrissey as a dominant tag team for a couple reasons. Three reasons I think I have. First of all, they're both huge, and they could just run through this tag division, leading to them hopefully taking the titles from the Good Brothers. Second...
Aren't they heel?
Yeah, I know, but still, get the titles off them somehow.
Yeah, and give Cass the title. Big Cass is the man.
Second, if they're not ready to pull the trigger on Moose as the Impact champion, and they don't seem to be, then this gives him something interesting to do outside of the singles scene. And finally, I don't think Morrissey's super strong in the ring and can carry lengthy singles matches, so putting him in a tag team, I think, makes a lot of sense. So I am kind of excited about these two working together. I hope it's actually a tag team, although we don't actually know that it is yet. So Gia is then backstage with Fallah Bahh and No Way. She asks if they knew anything about Tasha and Savannah's sort of sneak attack on Rosemary. They claim they had no idea. TJP comes up and asks Fallah Bahh if he's sort of replaced him with No Way as his partner. Bahh says he needed a tag team partner today, and then basically, long story short, they do a little bit of back and forth here. It seems like everybody is fine with each other in this group, so No Way, Fallah Bahh, and TJP seem to be okay with each other by the end of this. TJP, it finishes up. He suggests they head to Swingers Palace next week. No, because it's been nice without it. But anyways, Bahh says that he still has a gambling problem, but TJP says not to worry because he's got a sure thing that they can bet on. So I didn't need any of this. This is kind of one of the low points in this show. I don't have a lot of interest in any of these guys outside of TJP in ring. I guess the good news is that here's me trying really hard to find a silver lining. Ready? Three guys I don't care about and a segment I don't care about and can't stand generally are going to all be combined into one, right? So at least it's like killing three birds with one stone next week, I guess. They can put all of that in one segment instead of spreading it out throughout the show. We then have Violent by Design in one of their super stylish sort of video segments where Rhino is now the one chained to the table in the prison setting as Eric Young is yelling his stuff about failure and the sickness and failure not being tolerated, and you need to sort of do whatever you need to do. So it seems this time, instead of beating Rhino for failing, which has sort of been Violent by Design's move in the past, they're now going to leave him isolated in a dark cell in this prison. So again, these segments are visually really cool. The tone of them I really like. Eric Young does a good job speaking, but at the end of the day, for a faction that handles failure so poorly, right, and just punishes for failure, they sure don't seem to win very often. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there because they're all about not failing, and harsh punishments when you do, but then they fail virtually all the time. So it's kind of a little bit strange to me. We then get Josh Alexander in the ring. He is issuing his open challenge to any former X Division champion. So after a little bit of a wait, out comes Jake Christ in really terrible ring gear. I don't know if you want to try and
think I
Google
saw
image
it. I don't
it.
remember it being super bad.
And
but
Stryker's trying to say he looks great, but it's not great. I thought he looked ridiculous.
I did see it actually. I don't remember what it looked like.
It's like red, and it's basically he's wearing like a one-sleeved tight red hoodie and matching pants, and it looks ridiculous. Anyways, Chris does get some offense in early. He looks pretty decent other than the outfit he's wearing to me. Alexander does his usual thing.
I see it. Yeah, it's not great.
And this ends with 2 German suplexes, a rolling chaos theory, and a super nasty C4 spike that looked amazing from several different angles. Like, it really looks like his head bounces off the ground or off the mat in this. So Alexander wins. I enjoyed this match. Even though you know Alexander's winning decisively and you know it's not going to be very long, he's still really fun to watch. Josh Alexander is a major star in my opinion, and there aren't many guys in any company that I would rather watch wrestle than him. Gia then comes out to talk to Alexander after the match, and this is a segment that I really enjoyed. Actually, if you hadn't gone to the movies last night, I was going to show you a few things from Impact this week. So Gia she asks Alexander why he's doing these open challenges. Alexander says it's what he has to do for himself, the championship, his legacy, and for the Impact brand. That's why he has to challenge those who have walked in these shoes before. He calls the X Division title the most prestigious in wrestling. He says by the time he's done, he will be in the conversation for best X Division champion. So that last comment of considering himself among the best brings out Chris Sabin, and he responds to Alexander right here. So part of the reason I wanted to show you this, Jack, is because the crowd, you know how you like when the crowd is funny and yells things out in like house shows and stuff. So there's a bit of this here. So Sabin says that first of all, he's a big fan of Josh Alexander and says that Josh is one of the greatest wrestlers Sabin has ever seen. He said Alexander's reign as champion has been amazing to watch, but he's only a one-time X Division champion, and this is where some guy in the crowd yells out, "It's because he hasn't lost yet," basically, right? Which was funny. And then Sabin goes on to say, like, he does the whole, I'm not a 1-time, 2-time, 3-time, so he gets up to 8-time champion.
That's ridiculous.
And then the same guy, you can hear him yell, "That just means you've lost a lot," right? Which I thought was pretty funny. He says Alexander needs to beat greatest X Division champion, and he challenges Josh for a title match at Victory Road.
One of them he didn't lose. One of them was option C, because I know he's one of the option C boys.
If Alexander wins, he may go on to be the greatest X Division champion ever, but if Sabin wins, he'll be a 9-time champion and undoubtedly the best X Division champion. So I like those stakes being built there, right? Alexander does not hesitate to accept the match with a handshake. So I pretty much love this segment, right? Both men have a believable case here. And this felt like it could be how actually human beings behave, which is shocking in wrestling, right? Like this felt like a real thing that people might actually do. Alexander was better. It's funny. This is a difference in these two guys. Alexander's delivery was a lot better when he got calmer near the end of his promo, and Sabin's got a lot better because I can't stand Sabin promos generally.
Yeah.
His got better at the end as he got more intense, and here's my theory why. Sabin's final line was the best thing I've heard him deliver in a long time, and it's because he believes it, right? It's the line where he's saying, "I'm the best X Division champion ever." So if you make this guy act and write stuff for him, he's not very good. But when he says things he actually believes, like this, he sounded really good. So I thought just overall, this is almost objectively, I think, just a really good pro wrestling segment. So I was super happy with this. And I think the match could also be really good. A really quick build to this, and I think it worked. Next, we get a really strange and long Brian Myers segment with his protege, Sam Beal. So let me summarize this for you. Starts off with quick cuts to different guys, basically auditioning to be another protege for Myers, I guess would be the best way to say it. So I recognize a few of them. There's Manny Lemons from the indies I've seen, and Zicky Dice, who I've seen even more all over the place in independent stuff, and he's even been in AEW recently. So then we get the official how to become a professional wrestler, or sorry, how to be a professional wrestler gimmick that he's been doing. And now it starts off with all of these guys from the clips before this are actually there in person. So Myers says this is basically an impromptu gut check. Do you know what gut check was in TNA history? You ever hear of gut check?
Probably. I'm
They would bring in people, independent guys, to have a match, and then the winner would stand in the ring, and they had judges, and I think one of them was Brother Love at the time, and the judges, right, they would vote whether this guy gets a contract or not.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I remember specifically Christian York, I think was his name, was one that they did end up choosing. So anyways, that was kind of a nice reference for me because I watched TNA back then, so Myers talking about it being a gut check. So he quickly starts cutting wrestlers for various kind of silly reasons, right? Like one of them, he asked who his favorite wrestler was, and he says Mojo Rawley, so he's cut immediately. And I think another one of them called him Matt Cardona by accident, so he gets cut immediately. So anyways, he cuts all these guys down till there's only two left, and it's Manny Lemons and Zicky Dice, the only two that I knew as sort of actual wrestlers. The other guys might be as well, I just didn't recognize them. So Myers asks how long Zicky Dice has been in the business, and you know what Zicky Dice's answer was? You want to guess how long he's been in wrestling?
40 years.
34 years, so close. And I think he's being honest too. So Myers asks Dice why he's never heard of him then, and Zicky Dice quickly asks Myers the same question, like, I've never heard of you either. So Myers is about to cut him for saying that, obviously, but Beal stops him and says not to, because the only guy left would be Manny Lemons, who's like got this really obnoxious gimmick where he's wearing like the Hulk Hogan boa, and he like literally takes lemons and squeezes them. Like, I find his gimmick it's very, very indie. I don't even like it on the indies, so I'm happy that they're keeping Zicky Dice. So they do keep Zicky Dice around for now, and that's basically it. So somehow this was like a lengthy wrestling comedy segment that worked for me. I somehow like this. It's light years ahead of Wrestle House and Swingers Palace. When Impact does try comedy, I find often it's really, really bad. So the tone of this seemed to fit perfectly for me. I don't think everyone's going to like this, but I really did. Myers and Beal make me laugh most of the time for some reason. And I actually think Zicky Dice is pretty cool. So I hope he ends up being the one that sticks around out of this, because Lemon's gimmick, as I said, is a little bit too much for me. So I feel like it's going to be maybe a match between the last two, with the winner kind of joining Myers' group, and I'm hoping that's Zicky Dice. So then, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
We get Rohit Raju and Shera versus Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green. So I'm going to have to eat my words here a little bit on this one. So this started out like every other mixed match, right? With Green getting the better of Rohit all over the place. And to be really honest with you, she looked really good dominating Rohit. I thought she looked better here on offense than I've seen her. And she's been like all over the place lately, right? Like ROH, Impact. She was at Emergence. So not Emergence, Empower. So I thought she looked better here than I've seen her lately. So Shera, of course, refuses to hit Chelsea Green at all, and it at one point allows Cardona to hit the radio silence. So just as I'm peak frustrated by no one being able to hit a move on Green, Rohit drills her with a jumping high knee and knocks her out immediately and picks up the 3 count. So like, it looked good, and I will say that Chelsea Green sold it like a champ. So just a flash jumping knee knocks her out after weeks of me complaining like they won't let the men hit any offense on any of the women. Bang, knocks her out. Looked great. So this match was better than I expected. It was pretty short. Shera wasn't glaringly bad, which is the best you can hope for him. I thought Chelsea Green looked really good against Rohit specifically, and the finish surprised the crap out of me and made me eat my words from weeks, because she got knocked the heck out by a nice high knee from Rohit. So I quite enjoyed it, actually. Not just her getting knocked out, but the entire match was better than I expected. So then we see Kimber Lee. She's with Su Yung, and Kimber says, and of course Kimber's now in Su Yung makeup and everything as well. So she says that some souls they collect while others they convert. And there is a third person there, and I couldn't honestly tell who it was at the time because they're in full Su Yung mode as well. but it turns out it's Brandy Lauren, who I know from the indies as well, or they're calling her Brandy Loren in this. So she is now sort of being absorbed into this little Su Yung faction. So it just ends with Brandy and Kimber laughing maniacally as Su Yung sort of just sits there and stares. So I thought this looked really cool too, and this show's on a roll for me. At the time, I was kind of enjoying trying to figure out who it was before I knew it was Brandy Lauren. Su Yung seems to be like building an army here, and I'm kind of here for it as long as it doesn't get too crazy with the supernatural stuff. Like for me, be creepy and sort of like a culty type vibe, but don't go magical, please, or to other realms and things. So I thought another really good segment on this show, albeit a really short one. So the Good Brothers come to the ring to stop this streak of stuff I liked, not to be mean, and it goes back to being standard wrestling stuff after a few of these strong segments. Anderson quickly panders to the crowd, then mocks them to bring back the fact that he's a heel. They brag about taking out Willie Mack last week, and after Mack rolled up Gallows for a quick win in a singles match they had. They say that that type of win usually earns them a title shot, but Willie Mack can't get a title shot, can't take a shot at any championships from a hospital bed. Ooh. So Swan ends up, of course, running out to defend his friend. He brings a chair with him. He attacks immediately. Security come to break it up, and the heels end up backing up the ramp. So this was nothing special at all, and compared to the segments that I really liked on this show, it wasn't really good. It was sort of brought a lull here for me. I like some of the wrestlers involved in this, but I don't really care about them in this combination at all. So backstage, Rich Swann is furious about this, and Scott D'Amore tells him to calm down and breathe. D'Amore says Swann will get his title shot and his match with the Good Brothers, and in addition, next week, Rich Swann will face Carl Anderson in a bunkhouse brawl. So that could be okay. Both of those guys, I have no issue with either of them in the ring. So a bunkhouse brawl might be okay. So quickly getting to the main event now, which is Tommy Dreamer versus Ace Austin. Again, if Tommy Dreamer wins, he's added to the title match with Austin and Christian Cage at their next pay-per-view. And this match was also better than I expected because it's 2021 and Tommy Dreamer's in a main event, right? So, and this is a little side note here. I thought Madman Fulton played his role really, really well. At one point, with her fighting outside and Ace Austin's like hard Irish whip towards the barricade, and at perfect timing at the last second, Fulton sort of steps in front and lets Austin run into the back of himself, so he takes the brunt of it, absorb the force sort of so Austin doesn't have to. And then a little bit later, he perfectly timed like a run by on the outside to lift Austin's foot and put it on the rope to break a pin attempt. So I thought Fulton added a lot to this actually. Dreamer hit a pretty cool looking top rope neckbreaker at one point, and then the finish comes when Fulton drags Dreamer out of the ring. And I guess it was one of those things where it's like ROH where the refs giving Dreamer leeway because of the stakes involved, right? Like, so Dreamer ends up hitting him with a DDT on the floor, Fulton that is. But of course, this allows Austin, once Dreamer's making his way back in the ring, Austin immediately hits the fold, collects the pinfall, and Dreamer will not be added to the match. It will just be a singles match with Austin and Christian Cage. So out of context, I kind of enjoyed this match. It definitely over-delivered for me. But when you consider like where I think each of these guys should be on the card, for me, Ace Austin should be at or near the top, and Tommy Dreamer obviously not so much at this point in his career. So in that case, I think the Dreamer definitely got too much here and is a little bit too competitive, but the match itself was pretty fun to watch. Austin also needing so much help from Madman Fulton didn't really make him look super strong, but on the flip side, he is a heel, and what else is Fulton there for, right? Like, that's why you have your big muscle guy with you. So regardless of those issues, I was pleasantly surprised and entertained by this main event. So overall, I thought this was a really strong episode of Impact. I enjoyed, there was a chunk in the middle there leading up to the Good Brothers stuff where I was really enjoying almost everything. So more outside the ring than in, though. So Morrissey, Moose, Alexander and Sabin, Myers and Beal, Su Yung and Kimberly, and Macklin and Perazo all I thought had enjoyable segments tonight. The TJP, Falaba, No Way stuff was lame, and the Good Brothers Swan stuff was just okay, nothing special. But the other segments I really enjoyed. In-ring, not quite as strong, but it wasn't bad either. The opening mix tag match and the Decay match tag match I didn't think were good at all, but the X Division match was really quick but fun. The mixed tag match involving Rohit and Chelsea Green was a lot better than I thought, and the main event also over-delivered. So I'd have to say I just really enjoyed watching this episode, and again, comparing it only to other Impact things is how I'm going to establish this grade. If it had one super strong match on it, it would have been in the A range, similar to what we were saying about another show this week. I think, was it Dynamite maybe? But anyways, but even as it is, this was a good show. I was entertained, so I gave it a B+, which is pretty strong for Impact. So I was quite happy, especially looking forward to seeing the Moose and Morrissey if they're going to form a tag team, which I'm hoping that they will. Nice. All right. So I think that's it for any other wrestling business, right? You don't have anything else? So let's transition into our final segment every week, and that's taking a look at the world of wrestling action figures and figuring it out.
Yeah. Just some pre-orders from Ringside and whatnot.
Yep.
First off, his basic 125 is now on pre-order. We got Swerve is in the series, so that's pretty nice. In the green tights.
That's cool.
I almost considered pre-ordering that, but stupid duty. So
good for him getting a figure.
Yeah, I really want to get that, even though it's a stupid basic.
Right.
And NXT Ember Moon, like her current look, so an update Ember Moon. And then Elias, The Rock, and Jeff Hardy are also in, but there's no like renders or anything for them. And then the Chase variant is Swerve in red tight, so 2 Swerves, which is good. That's cool. Next, there's the next series in the Championship Showdown 2-packs, which is essentially replacement battle packs. Those are also up for pre-order. We have Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, which I think will either be from WrestleMania Backlash this year or the December 17th or December 11th, 2017 episode of Raw. Which that was when Roman was Intercontinental Champion, I think.
Right.
So
I like how seamlessly you did WrestleMania Backlash. Like you just rolls off the tongue now.
I guess.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, which I know is from WrestleMania 36, because that one that you have renders for. And then Stone Cold versus Kane, which I think will be either King of the Ring 98, which is their first blood match, or Raw June 29th, 1998, the day after that, where Kane lost the title back.
Right.
Next, Ultimate Edition 11 is also up for pre-order, once again featuring Kane, but also The Undertaker, both of them from the Attitude Era. Kane's got like his cape, his entrance cape that he was supposed to have.
I don't remember that, to be honest.
I think he might have used it once, but like he was supposed to use it, and then I don't think he did.
Right.
And then he's got an alternate, and it's kind of like Ministry Undertaker, like
okay,
that kind of era.
Yep. Not my favorite.
Elite 90 also available. We got Jey Uso, I believe, from Hell in a Cell 2020 against Roman, so an update Jey Uso, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Bronson Reed and the Bam Bam Bigelow homage gear, which I found out TakeOver 30, which was, I think, the ladder match, remember?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
We have Reckoning.
Sorry?
Reckoning. Is also in the series.
Oh, okay. Yay. Yay.
Yeah.
Like in her Reckoning stuff?
It's Reckoning.
Amazing.
It's actually Reckoning.
That's amazing.
I don't even know why, but it's there. We also have Randy Orton WrestleMania 37, the white trunks, which that's pretty cool because that's a different look for him, at least. Like it's a little. He comes with the night vision goggles.
Cool.
Which I think that's kind of funny. And then also Big Boss Man from.
At least it's a unique little edition, right?
In the blue gear.
Yep.
Like classic Big Boss Man. Chase variant is Big Boss Man, which that's probably the least interesting Chase variant of all time. But I think, and it says Chase variant black gear, so I assume that's Attitude Era Boss Man.
He's a guy that back when I was a kid watching him, I didn't appreciate. He was a really good big man. And they always said that, but I always thought he was just kind of okay. He was really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
Not very interesting. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, I forgot one. There's also Mustafa Ali in that series. Retribution
nice.
Ali.
I wish he would get freed from there and go somewhere else because he's really good. But anyways, I guess that's going to bring us to the end of episode 59. Definitely keep an eye out. We'll do probably an all-out review. What do you think? We might get around to it on Monday afternoon or evening, I'm hoping.
Probably.
Right? So that should be coming through, and then I'll also be back for my Ring of Honor. I think we're up to 520 review. I also put out on Monday, so a couple things should be coming at you guys. And just as we like to say, like, thanks for any time you're spending during your week listening to us talk about wrestling. It is much appreciated. And we will definitely see you back here for that review. And again, next Saturday for episode 60 of the main show. And until then, take care.